Hello there. How are you doing this evening? I am, this is a first for Agora.Community. We're doing something a little bit new today. We're doing a live stream we wanted to start meeting some of these amazingly talented people that are winning Anim Challenge competitions. As many of you know, we have these monthly, essentially the way that the system works is we run a competition every month, basically with a theme. People can decide to compete by just animating something and submitting by the deadline. And then there are a bunch of judges that take a look at it, all the submissions, and then they kind of pick the favorite. And then typically what has happened in the past is that person with the most votes wins. And then there is a sort of a celebrity reviewer that will take a look at the work and get some feedback on it. This particular individual has actually won 2 times, and this time we approached him with an option. We said, "Hey, do you want to get a review again, or do you want to do something different?" We've been playing around with this idea of maybe picking your brain a little bit and having a little chat with you and letting the community get to know kind of like who you are and like why are you like how are you able to submit something like that's so great that gets picked from all the other submissions. Where are you coming from? What's your process like pretty much just like that's who are these mysterious people that are winning is basically what it comes down to. And luckily Dane Romley is the I hope I'm saying his last name right. He'll tell me when he gets in here. All right, he gave me the thumbs up from backstage. Wicked. But yeah, so Dane, he agreed. We had a little chat about a week ago. We were like, I pretty much just said like, please come and let everyone like get a chance to meet you. And he's like, all right, I guess so. I just, he's, he like so many other animators, he's humble and he's like, why talk to me? And I'm like, well, because you won twice. Your work is amazing. And also just a fun fact that some of you probably already know, because I think it got mentioned on social. So Dane, I'm going to let him tell the story, but I mean, essentially the preface of the story is this animator has been working on The Simpsons for 16 years. 16. That is epic. I mean, it's crazy. I myself, and we didn't dig too much into that when we talked earlier because I wanted to be fresh for tonight's conversation. I just want to know what that journey has been like, to be honest. And I think that's really amazing to have that kind of, to be able to see a show that's so iconic evolve over so many years. I mean, like we're past, I think we were talking, it was like, it's over 30 years now. Are we on the 30, is it the 30th? Wait, 30, is that 34, 38? I think he's saying, 36. I can't see your fingers. Anyways, he'll tell us. It's okay. I'm just going to bring him. How about this? Don't even write it down, Dane. I'm going to bring you in. You're going to correct me right live. Here we go. Dane Romley, everybody. Hi.
Hello.
I couldn't read your fingers because apparently I have old man eyes.
I was trying to do a 33.
Oh, 30. I just suck. That's the problem. It's a good thing I don't have. It's a good thing I don't need to do sign language in this family because I would really be bad at it.
No, I'd be terrible at it too.
Welcome to the conversation. It's awesome to have you here.
Me.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you for taking the time out of your weekend. It's amazing to be able to have you on the show and to talk a little bit about you and like what you've been, what you've been up to over the 16 years of such an amazing show. And also we wanted to touch a little bit on your motivations. Like, how does a professional animator like yourself find the time to compete in a challenge like that, and also why? Like, what drove you to even want to do something like that? I think would be an interesting thing to cover at some point during this chat. Sure. I think what we're going to start with, just for fun, just for context, is I'm going to play the video. I just have to bring it up here, and then we could talk a little bit about it. Some of the choices that you made. I mean, one of the obvious things that I think we're all going to see right away. If you haven't seen this animation already, you're in for a bit of a treat because it's pretty awesome. It's 2D. Which is, I think, right off the bat, which isn't surprising. I mean, you live in a very 2D world, considering you work in The Simpsons, right?
Yeah.
So you've been, that's pretty much in your wheelhouse. But it's not every day that we get to see 2D submissions on the Anim Challenge, because I think the lion's share of work out there tends to be 3D these days. So you are. Yeah. In the minority in that particular category, which is awesome because it just feels so fresh. It's so nice to see it. So, anyways, I'll shut up. We'll take a look at it, and then we'll kind of break it down a little bit. You can tell us a little bit about some of those choices and whatnot. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna stick us. How can I do this? I'm gonna hold on a second. It's gonna just play right away, which is kind of annoying because I want to be able to change the way that the layout is. That's okay. Let's just do it. We'll do it like this.
Okay.
Oh, there it is playing audio. Do you hear the audio, or is it just me?
Yes, I do hear it.
Sweet. I'm gonna do this. Let me do it again. Oh man, it just plays it once and then it disappears. I can't loop it. That's annoying. I should have put it on. You know what I'm gonna? In hindsight, I should have put it on Sync Sketch. Let me just do it really quick.
Or I can put it on my window here if you want. You won't hear the audio, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, let me just Sync Sketch will take me like seconds.
Oh, okay.
No big deal. This is casual. There's no big deal. People are used to it. Hey, chat, you're used to this. You're used to me bumbling around. No big deal. Let me just do this really quickly, just because it'll be a little easier.
Sure.
To be able to kind of like look at it a little bit more carefully.
Yeah, and please excuse me if I'm a little bumbly and you hear lots of ums and hms. This is my first live stream kind of thing, so this is all new to me.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. I mean, and you came prepared. Like, look at that shirt.
Oh yeah.
Can we just can we take a moment to appreciate Dane's shirt?
No.
Like, let's just take a moment to soak that in. I love it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I know how you feel. The first time I started doing live streaming, I was just like, oh my God. And I mean, I do a lot of stuff like content, like I do a lot of online teaching, and I do a lot of other sort of things that are live kind of, but it's something about Twitch that was intimidating because it's like, you don't know who's going to show up. You can invite people to it, but quite literally anyone could show up to it. And so it's sort of like just putting yourself out there, just like a podcast, but live. So I think it's, I totally get it. I get the jitters. Yeah. Let's see here. Right here. I'm going to put it right in here. Pardon me for just a moment. There it is. I'm going to make a new one. Call this Dane. I'm going to just drop it in there. I had it already and right here, so I can just do this. It should be fast because it's a quick little video. Sorry, chat. So yeah, so what I'll do is when I have it in Sync Sketch, I'll be able to like let it loop and play a few times, and then it'll be a little easier to sort of discuss. It was I forgot entirely that this system doesn't let me just loop it. Okay, so let me go and I will share my tab. I got it all in there and ready to go now. So let's do this. If my neck looks all weird, it's because I slept funny last night. You get like a kink in your neck,
I hate that.
And you can't turn your neck. Oh man, it's the worst.
You see those ads for those pillow cubes that's supposed to be like better for like your sleep? I don't know if that looks comfortable though.
Pillow cube?
Yeah, I always see that like ads for those, like oh, have you ever slept on a cube or something like that? And it's like this special new pillow that's like a cube or whatever.
I need to look into. I've never even heard of anything. Like pillow and cube seems so completely like antagonistic, which is interesting. I think it's probably obviously part of their marketing campaign because they're just like, I need to see this. A pillow cube, like come on. It's like, you know,
Yeah, the hell are you
like
talking
who would
about,
have thought
Cube?
that you would make, yeah, cube doesn't make any sense. Let's see here. So I'm going to share my screen
Okay.
like this, and then I'm going to do this Chrome tab, and I will share the audio. I can mute it if I need to. Boom. Okay. So let's see. Hello.
Whoa.
There we are. So let me just hit play and see if it does what it's supposed to. You can hear
Yes.
that? Excellent. Okay. So let's take a look at this. I can't remember. Is there a way of looping it in Sync Sketch? I always forget. Who Sync Sketch? I think this should do it. Toggle loop. Yeah, it's on. Okay, good. I always forget and I get stressed out. It's like there's so much stuff going on. You almost have to watch it like 5 times. Watch it one more time here. Okay, so like, I mean, there's a ton going on there.
Right.
I think the first obvious question I would have for you is how long did that take you in hours, would you say? Like,
oh gosh.
Like, because
out of, let's see, I started animating maybe 3 or 4 days into, I think this was April. And I would work on it.
I think so.
At least 3-4 hours a day, every day.
Wow. Okay. Well, that doesn't surprise me. Wow, that's a lot of work. But also at the same time, it's like, what would I really expect? I mean, it's 2D, right? So we have to keep in mind for all you 3D animators, that means that every image you're seeing there, he had to make, right? Like it's not like we have a computer who's just generating these kindly for us. Like every single one of those needs to be considered. So if you've never animated in 2D before, you really should give it a shot because it's a very humbling experience. He's got more than one character in there,
right?
You know. So you're saying about 3 or 4. So you just carved away in the evenings, I guess, after work, and just plugged away at this every day for about 3 or 4 hours until it was done, and it took you most of the month.
I was working up until the very last day.
Wow, down to the wire.
Yeah, down to the wire.
Okay. Now, so another question, audio wise. So I really, really find the audio track extremely catchy and extremely fitting for this piece. I'm curious, did you choose the audio track before or after you started animating?
Before. I had the idea already that I was going to do this.
Okay, there you go.
And then I was like, okay, I had like a list of like different songs that I had researched, and I just picked the best one that just felt, like you said, just was catchy and had a nice
right energy.
Yeah, nice energy. And then in all honesty, the fact that it kind of syncs up with the music, I did not intend that. That was just that was a happy little accident, as Bob Ross would say. Yes, I did not intend that. It was a great surprise, but no. I wish I could take credit.
That's why I asked, right? I asked that because it seemed like you did a little bit of a choreography to the actual sound itself.
Total
I had a feeling that you might have had that okay, so here, that leads me to my next question. What software did you use to do this?
I used Toon Boom Harmony.
Okay, Harmony. All right. So do you do that same thing that you use at work? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I just use it.
That would explain. Okay.
And
I've actually haven't used it in a really long time. It was when Toon Boom first came out. It's been a while, but I know I really like it. I really like Storyboard.
Oh yeah.
Storyboard Pro. Storyboard Pro, I think. Yeah. I love that software. It's so smart. Yeah, Toon Boom stuff. If you've never used it, it is definitely a dream come true for a variety of reasons, especially if you work in 2D. But it's useful for storyboarding. Like the Storyboard Pro is really just the storyboard version of Harmony, which obviously removes a lot of the other complications and other sort of overhead that you would have in Harmony, because you don't need digital ink and paint and all these other things that you would need if you're trying to fully animate something. But instead, it replaces it with like a really interesting workflow that you can kind of go from quite literally storyboard to animatic, so you can time it out into over a timeline, and then even get this, you can even do previs and layout with it, which is actually pretty interesting as well, because you can actually drop in like 3D meshes and like it's pretty full featured, so it's definitely worth it. So so Harmony is what you use for it. So I just got this funny feeling that you had just dropped in the audio track and then just animated to it. It's quite amazing and impressive that it just lined up for you.
I'm not ashamed to admit it was just a happy accident.
No, that's good. Yeah. That's good. Sometimes that happens, right? That's cool. And like, I think that, I asked this question before when we were kind of getting to know each other before on our little chat, but so like, why? What motivated you? Well, so not why specifically. We'll get to that in a minute. But like, what is it like? So you're holding down a full-time job, and we all know how difficult that can be to be animating all day, especially like for some of you younger, like like newer, like full of energy animators out there. There's a good chance that you go home and still work on your own projects. But I think I have to admit that most of us, after about maybe 10 years of the business, especially when we get older and we have family or like pets and like we just have obligations that go beyond work, it's kind of hard to either A, find the time, and B, be passionate enough to want to spend that kind of free time animating. So I'm curious, what was that main motivator for you? Or maybe there were several factors. What made you feel like, okay, I really want to compete this month?
Yeah, there was a number of things. I mean, first off, I've been a huge fan of the Naruto series going back to when I was in college. Yeah, my first year of college. That must have been 2001, 2002. My best friend and I, we were starting to get into anime and specifically manga. This was, for us, that was like a new thing. And then once we started following this, I mean, we've followed it, I mean, every week for 20 years. The series itself just means a lot to me, and I love it. And and then when the theme was announced, saying like, this month's theme is Naruto, I mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, there's no way I'm not going to do this. I have to do it.
It was fate.
Yeah. I have to do it. Yeah.
That's interesting. So, because you told me when we chatted before that you've been a member for a while, but you had not just you didn't jump into the fray until recently.
Yeah, I've actually been a member of the Anim Challenge community for maybe 2 years, maybe more.
There you go. So you've been watching along and like seeing the submissions and just feeling like being part of that energy and like
sure.
But it took a Naruto challenge for you to be like, I'm in. I'm like, here's my poker chips. I'm all in. I literally have no choice. I would be somehow betraying my devotion and love for this property if I did not submit.
That's right.
That's cool.
Well said.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then, because there have been times when I wanted to join maybe before, but again, it's just, time and
all those things.
All those things are just like, I just don't have the time. But with this one, and then the last one I did, the 3-hit combo one, which was last year, I think October. That one too, I was just like, I wasn't as busy with work and I had some free time, and again, the kind of thing where like, I've been wanting to join. Okay, I'll just join. It's a pretty open-ended theme. So
Yeah, that's funny. So it's funny that like that. So it actually kind of went a little bit like this. You've been kind of wanting to for a while, but it kind of had a hard time justifying the time. And then you had a little bit of time. So you're like, well, I really have no excuse, so I should definitely do it because I've been wanting to do it for a while. So you did it, and then you won that competition. Actually, you won the 3-hit combo.
Yeah, I was actually very surprised, to be honest.
Well, no, it was really good. I should have, like an idiot, maybe. I should have. I mean, I could go find it. I didn't even think to ask you to send me that one. I could, because if I did, I could drop it in there. But I mean, whatever. I don't want to distract us too much because it might be too much of a dig for you. If you're interested in seeing Dane's submission for the 3-hit combo, you can definitely go back into the Anim Challenge archives and see it, because it is very good. I imagine. So okay, so you did that one and you won. That's really great. And then this comes along and it's sort of like, oh my God, I have to do it again. It's like there's no escape. It's almost like they know my Achilles heel. They just want to have me keep coming back for more.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I've been a member for a long time, and I've been wanting. I mean, the whole point of me joining was because I wanted to do these monthly challenges, and it's just like I said, because of work or whatever, I just couldn't get to it. But I had, last year I had a little bit of free time, so I did that, and this one specifically, I was like, I have to do it. I need to make that time.
Have you done any free? Have you ever done any? I'm trying to blend free time into my sentence here, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Have you done any pet projects or anything outside, like extracurricular kind of projects outside of your regular job?
Like animation wise?
Yeah, like do you have like a some cool pet project, like some like animation tests that you do just every once in a while, just for the love of it? Like I don't mean, are you moonlighting somewhere? I mean, is this something like, because a lot of us do, right? A lot of us, I used to, I really, this is my new obsession that I do when I'm not at work, which is doing things like this. But like a lot of animators still do find like, they're working on their reel just because they want to, and they want to work on a cool new lip sync because they found a really cool audio track and they just can't help but to, kind of take a crack at it. Is this a normal thing for you to do, or is this challenge, is this sort of something that lured you out into that space to kind of to do that?
No, I'm typically always working on something outside of work.
Yeah.
Whether it's a project or just because I just like doing it.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
for what makes you tick, like it's part of you.
Yeah, I mean, people who follow me like on Instagram or whatever, like I just do it because I like doing it. I mean, I do have my own. I'm sure all animators have their own projects that they want to do. And I definitely have those. I mean, but I don't. I admit I don't work on those as much as like just. I just like doing it for fun. Like something like this is definitely more. I did it for fun. Also, like you said, that was a good point you said is put something on my reel because I have so much Simpsons stuff. Like I wanted to put other stuff on there.
This is what I'm getting at, right? I wanted to kind of delicately lead up to that question, which is, obviously you're working on one of the most famous animated properties in the world. Like there is no question about it. As a matter of fact, fun little side fact, I live in Quebec, Canada, and, which is a very Francophone based part of the world. And a funny thing is something that often comes up in conversation, especially me being Anglophone, is when a Francophone speaks to me and sometimes surprises me with how good their English is. Not always. In Montreal, most people that I know, like especially ones that I work with, definitely they can speak English. But like sometimes I can be surprised based on maybe where they're from. Maybe they're from a small town in Quebec, and like there'd be no reason for them to learn French, just like there was no reason for me to learn English, just like there was no real reason for me to learn French where I was living in a small town outside of Toronto, right? So, but one of the number one answers to the question, when I asked, so where did you learn your English then? Like, it is almost always The Simpsons, almost always. It's like The Simpsons or like Flintstones or some animated show. But for some reason, The Simpsons always comes up as that sort of example because they just watched The Simpsons in English and they just learned they learned a lot of their English from watching that show. So my point being that it is quite prolific. It is everywhere and it's been on for 33 years, like you said, which is pretty freaking crazy. So I guess, like it's ridiculous. And I'm sure that it satiates a lot of your creative needs as an artist.
Oh yeah.
But 16 years is 16 years. So I'm sure naturally, like, just like how people work at Pixar or people who work at a video game company for a long enough time, sometimes they feel like it's like they're doing the same thing all the time. So to keep themselves fresh, they might want to try other things every once in a while, just to kind of keep them kind of like their brains three-dimensional on the creative side. So I guess maybe that's one of the, maybe that's one of the reasons why you do this on the side sometimes too, just to.
Yeah. It's definitely, the working on the show keeps me very focused, and I learn so much even still now. Every day.
I can imagine.
And it's been an amazing job and opportunity. And then stuff like this, it's just, it just gives me a chance to just kind of stretch my own wings for a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cause it's hard. Like when you're working for a show or for a movie, it's someone else's art direction, someone else's style, which could be amazing, which of course it is in Simpsons. It wouldn't have survived as long as it has. But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily yours, even though you can emulate it, even though you can probably do it in your sleep by this point. It doesn't necessarily, like you said, it doesn't allow you to stretch maybe some of your own choices in your own legs, as you put it, which makes a lot of sense. And I think that's an interesting survival mechanism. I think for animators, I think a lot of animators sometimes they get stagnant being on a job, and I think all they really need to probably do is to spend a little bit of time, at least just dabbling a little bit, giving themselves some time during the day or weekend where they get to be themselves as an artist every once in a while,
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Be themselves. Yeah. Like for something like this and the 3-hit combo one I did, it was just a chance for me to just do my own thing. And I don't know.
Yeah, totally radically different from the style that you would probably do every single day on the job. Yeah, it makes sense.
Very much.
So like, what's it been like? I already mentioned this at the beginning of the chat. So people who I saw that the numbers of people watching have climbed steadily since we started. Nice. I'm curious what like I started this whole conversation by talking about how you've been in working for 16 years, which was for originally Fox Animation Studios, correct?
Yeah, we
And
were
then
originally Fox. Yeah,
but then they got bought by
Disney about 2 years ago, I believe it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
I
now
think
part
that
of
sounds
the
about right.
Disney family.
Yeah. Okay. So you've seen like corporate change. You've seen probably even a little bit of cultural change because of that purchase, I would imagine. I mean, like Disney is not exactly a small company. I think like meaning like you've seen probably lots of things. You would have seen people come and go. A lot of creative leads have probably come and gone. You were telling me that there's some people though that have not gone because was there somebody there who's worked there from like since like almost season 1?
Oh yeah, there's
like,
a good number of them that have been there since season 1.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
that's such dedication. I love it. So like in your mind, I mean, like how do you explain a show that's been going on for that long? How can it possibly still stay so true to itself? Like that's the thing I think it's impressed me the most about Simpsons. The only time I ever feel kind of jolted, and we were talking about this before, by the Simpsons, if I go back and watch the first few seasons, then I'm just like, whoa, like it just shows you how far they've come. But I mean, it didn't take too long before they hit a stride.
Oh yeah,
because I bet you it was like after about 5 or 6 seasons, then they really and then sure, it's been like, they got about 85% of like what they are now, about like 20 years ago probably. But yet it never felt like it went some radically different direction. It's been just a constant polish and tuning of these characters. And I mean, obviously that show is all about the characters. And so it's, I mean, in your mind, is it, I mean, like, how did that happen in your mind? I mean, you don't have to get too specific. You don't have to mention names, but I mean, from a very personal perspective, I'm just dying to know, how does a company hold that kind of focus and vision together for so long?
Man, I wish I knew the secret ingredient to tell you.
You'd run off and make your own show, right? And then just make bazillions of dollars.
Yeah. I guess it's like what you said. They've just stuck with what they do best, which is they're very topical. They write really very witty, well-timed jokes, and so visually. I mean, we've made so many leaps and bounds with the visuals on the show, even just in the past 10 years or so, especially when we switched to the HD format, the widescreen format.
Right.
But I mean, the colors are very vibrant. Everything's very saturated. Everything's very round, and the characters are almost kind of like squishy looking, and it's just one of those just endlessly appealing. It's just always look good, and
yeah. But they've gotten better looking. Like if you look at the drawings of Homer, for instance, like season 1, and then you compare them to now, the interesting thing is the word I would almost use is that there's been an added level of elegance to it in a way. Like it's like there was a confidence. Like the character has been refined to the point where probably easier to animate, but also just also more iconic and more pleasing in some weird way. I don't know. Like, I mean, like we were talking, like when I remember, I'm old enough to remember when Simpsons wasn't even a show. It was a skit on the Tracy Ullman show a long, long time ago. That's how the Simpsons started. And then people loved it so much that they're like, we're gonna turn this into a show. And Matt was, of course, the creator of that. And he continues to be the showrunner to this day, which is also kind of for sure a big reason as to why it's maintained its trajectory, because a lot of shows unfortunately die terrible deaths due to like a pivot that they can't recover from, sometimes due to the fact that the showrunner changes for whatever reason, because they leave because they want to do other things, or because because there were creative differences or whatever. But like, the fact that Matt's been sort of that visionary from the beginning, I'm sure has had a big contribution towards.
He's still very much hands-on, and
that's cool.
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, he definitely had a vision, and he's just maintained that vision, and I think that's why it's stayed just very consistent. And
was it intimidating at the beginning? Like, because when you joined on 16 years ago, it would have been already like over 15 years.
I joined I joined season 17, I believe. Yeah, and I was 22 years old, fresh faced kid right out of college, and of course I was very I was super nervous, and yeah, I guess, a bit intimidated, and but everyone there was just super, super friendly and super
That's
helpful,
awesome.
and yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second. So you literally, okay, where did you go to
I
school?
went
I know we
to
talked
I
about
went
this,
to
but like for chat.
Woodbury University in Burbank, California.
Right. There you go. So
Mm.
like literally like a university in like ground
Yep.
zero, like Hollywood, like territory. Like it
Hmm.
is pretty much, you couldn't really probably find a closer university. And I was actually surprised to hear that,
Hmm.
because I was, when Dane told me this, I was like, wow, there's so many people that eventually show up at iAnimate or a lot of the other schools that I've worked for over the years. I've noticed that there was a trend of people that went to American universities, didn't feel like they got the training they needed. But Dane was like, not me, man. Like most of my teachers were working for
Oh yeah.
the shows in the area, so it was like I felt like I was surrounded by
Oh
giants,
yeah.
and so that in itself was I think. So that, I mean, so that's cool. And you were born and raised, like you're from that
Oh
area,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If I'm
Born and
not, if
raised in
okay,
Burbank. Yeah.
so that's so funny. Born and raised in Burbank,
Yeah.
like Burbank, man. Like you grow up, you go to university, you get a job in the same town,
Yeah.
even because the studio is like close to the school, even, isn't it?
We're at a newer studio now, which is actually not far from my school.
Oh,
But the previous studio that we were in was
okay.
literally just right down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you didn't like, it's just so funny that you like it's like your whole bubble and you just sort of like, you just lived it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you went to university. So you have like a bachelor's of art
Yeah. I have
then,
a
I
bachelor's
guess,
of
is
fine
that
arts
how
in
it worked
animation.
out?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And so I'm just curious. So when you because I say this for the benefit of people in chat,
Mhm.
because I know that there's definitely some people that are a little bit younger that might, some of the people in chat are even in high school that are just
Nice.
like animation enthusiasts, and they just like, they know that that's what they're meant to
Mhm.
do. I don't know if I saw Crabnuts. I think he was probably the first person to say hi. Let me scroll up. Oh, he's not there. Is Crabnuts you there? He can't be there because if he was, he would have said hi already. Crabnuts, he's a bit famous in our community because he's pretty much at every single stream.
Okay.
He happens to be a high school
Nice.
student and a very dedicated one, to say the least. But yeah, so my point being, before I got completely sidetracked, the idea here is when you were in high school and you were thinking about, okay, where do I go? Where do I
Mhm.
go? Like for learning how to animate, or
Sure.
like, were you convinced already right then and there coming out of high school that you knew you wanted to be an
Oh,
animator? So
I've
you
known
knew what
since I
you
was
were looking.
about 7.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that. Why?
It's just
What
something.
made you feel that you were an animator?
Uh, how do
You
I?
just know these
Yeah,
things.
I don't know.
Why you
I
have
don't know how
to?
to put it into
Why ask these
words.
damn hard questions, Dan? Yeah. Okay. So you obviously probably watched a lot of
Oh
shows, and
yeah.
so
Oh
like
no.
I
I
would
mean,
imagine.
my parents will tell you, I grew up watching nothing but cartoons. I mean, even now I
Yeah.
still watch cartoons pretty regularly.
Good for
And
you.
then I don't know what it was. It was just, I was about 7 or 8, and I just loved just
That's
drawing and
cool.
doodling. And then my parents would put me in. I first started taking more like fine art class, like doing like pastels. I think
Yep.
I was about 8 years old when I started doing those.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So they recognize this in you right away. They're like, we need to encourage
Oh yeah.
this kid because he is like, he needs like,
Mhm.
he needs that
Yeah.
outlet.
Oh yeah.
It was
No,
obvious.
no, no. So, yeah,
That's cool.
super, super supportive.
So by the time you got out of high school, I would assume that you would have taken a lot of art
Oh
classes at
yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
And so
I'd
you
taken
probably,
classes by then, and I'd taken
you,
drawing classes.
your high school had animation classes, or did you have to go
No,
take those outside of
I'd take
the
those
school?
outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your parents signed you up to workshops or
Oh
something
yeah,
like
yeah. I
that.
remember my dad driving me
That's
to
cool.
places in downtown LA here that had
Right.
workshops for like youngsters like me, and those were
Yeah.
great. And yeah.
Well, I mean, and this is funny because I mean, like, I'm sure there's some people listening to this right now just being like, I cannot believe my ears because they didn't grow up in LA, right?
Right.
So like, Dane obviously had a bit of a different sort of the proximity that you would have had growing up. It was the match made in
I
heaven.
was very
You
fortunate.
were well, yeah, but fortunate, but also you being around this stuff didn't necessarily make you feel like I needed to be an animator. You were
Oh
too
no.
young
Oh yeah.
to really put those two together. It was just fate. Like it was quite
Yeah.
literally that you wanted to, and you probably at the time couldn't even appreciate that you could not have been living in a better town.
Yeah. When I was
in the world. Like, that was the place to be
yeah when
if
I
you wanted to
was
be
yeah
one.
when I was
So
younger, I had no idea that there was. I mean, all these things just 5 minutes down the road.
sure.
And then of course, once I started doing research, and I remember discovering that, like, wait, Cartoon Network is like down the show. Oh wait, Nickelodeon is right next to that. Oh wait a minute, like Warner Brothers is also there. Oh wait, and it just blew my mind. Like, oh my God, there's all these studios like right down the street from me. And I remember, it's so funny. I never really thought about this until now. I remember my parents would have friends that like worked in these studios before, and they all knew that I was interested in animation. I remember they would allow me to like come in and give me a little tour and show me how, get me really excited and stuff like that.
That's crazy. So like it's just so perfect that you got a chance. So by the time you got out of high school, you were like you were already an animator essentially, but you wanted to like officially get trained up. So did you already know you were going to go to this school, or did you do your home did you do your homework before you were graduating? Or was it like, okay, you did. So you already knew that was even the school you wanted to go to.
That was one of the schools I wanted to. The other one was Cal Arts, of course, California Institute, which is like the premier animation school, which is it's actually not far.
That would have been a hard choice. Why? So I'm curious, what made you choose the one you went to? Is it because you wanted to get a bachelor's, or
because I didn't get into Cal Arts the first time?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I applied to Cal Arts and my portfolio was not accepted.
Okay.
And I guess it just wasn't ready at the time, which is totally fine. And then Woodbury was my other choice because they had this really great developing animation program. And like I said, because it's located in Burbank, all the teachers and the heads of the department, they were all industry people.
Yeah.
In fact,
it sounded like it was an up and coming.
Oh yeah. And my freshman animation teacher was actually the former Disney feature recruiter for like back in the day. So just learning from him, and then like all my teachers, all 4 years of my time there, they were all industry people. So it's nice. Like I said, I was very fortunate where I was born, just because all the stuff is literally in my backyard. And then being able to just like pick all these artists' brains that I was learning from, and I learned so much at Woodbury. And it was actually I was finishing my second year at Woodbury. One of my teachers said, hey, you've grown quite a bit. Why don't you reapply to Cal Arts and see if you get in? So just out of curiosity, I did, and I did actually get in that time. But what would have happened is that I would have had to have started all over. So I was just finishing 2 years of university, and if I went to Cal Arts, I would have had to start from the beginning, basically.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I would have essentially gone through about 6 years of school, and by that point, once I finished my second year, I was like, I just want to start working. And I'm learning so much already. I feel like I'm getting a super good animation education here. I want to stay here. I want to stick it out. And I was just more to it than that, but it was I just didn't want to start over. I didn't want to go through
no, I totally get it. But it all worked out, obviously. So, you went through university, and I mean, did they even offer bachelors, or was like at that time, did they offer bachelors?
I believe they do.
Probably do.
I don't want to misspeak. I believe they do.
Yeah. I mean, like even here in Canada, a lot of the colleges, they didn't eventually, they just offered what we call here diplomas.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to like a bachelor's, which is where you have to go to university here for. But down there, like you call like your colleges are universities.
Yes.
Like it's a bit weird, like the nomenclature between the Americans and the Canadians, but like an Ivy League college is a university, like as far as we're concerned. Like it's like you can get like bachelors and masters and PhDs there. It's like it's the big thing. And I mean a lot of people, at least I think this is starting to die, this trend, but a lot of people, especially a lot of people's parents, I remember my parents were kind of wanting me to get a bachelor's because it seems like that is some sort of like a ticket to easier, it was easier to get a job theoretically if you had a bachelor's degree. But truthfully, in animation, at least here in Canada, like you're better off going and getting a good training, regardless of what you're going to get certification wise, because all that's going to matter is how well you can animate and how well of a well developed artist that you are by the time you're done. Because it's all going to come down to your interview and your demo reel, right? So what was that like? So you put together. So you finish your school. It was an amazing experience. You were taught by all these amazing people from the area that were working in the industry. And where did you apply? Like, what did you decide? What did you set out to do once you were done? Like, did you have some targets? Like, did you set out, stuff everywhere, or like, how did you handle that?
I mean, ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to animate for the Looney Tunes, but like the classic ones.
Oh yeah,
But of course, by the time
sure.
I graduated high school, college, they weren't making them like that anymore. And
Yeah, sadly no.
yeah, yeah, they are now though, and the
Mhm.
stuff that they're creating now
Yeah,
is incredible.
and yeah.
Uh, but I remember it was I think it was my final year. Um, one of my animation teachers was the one that was encouraging me, like, hey, there's going to be an opening on because he worked on The Simpsons at the time, and he said, hey, there's going to be an opening. I think you should apply. Do you want to come take a tour of the studio and meet some people? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I did, and honestly, I hadn't even considered it. I mean, and I had also applied to at the time it was called Disney Interactive, which was like a kind of
Oh
video
yeah,
game division of
yeah.
Disney.
Totally.
And
Yeah, I think it's changed around a little bit. It used to be a pretty big division.
yeah,
I think it got absorbed by a different division over there, but I don't quote me on that.
yeah.
And
Don't
maybe
quote
it's
me
still a
either.
thing. Maybe Disney Interactive is
Mhm.
still a thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so
they were having a recent graduate program there where like you come in and you train with them for a little bit, and then like if they like your work and they like working with you, then you keep you on to like regular projects. Um, so I applied to that on my own, and then I uh, went with my professor, my animation professor. He was taking me around to the Simpsons studio, and there I was meeting like all the other animators. And I was meeting the directors, and um, took the test, the character animation test. Took my time with it, and then before I graduated, I made sure to turn it in. That way, it was ready to go. Because I know he was telling me that these things take time, so make sure you turn it in, and then you don't want to be waiting around after you graduate. And then graduated June of '05. And then beginning of August, I actually heard from Simpsons and I heard from Disney Interactive, both saying like, "Hey, we want you to come on board. We want to bring you on for these projects." It was actually now that I remember, it was actually the same day. I got Disney Interactive called me first in the morning, and then Simpsons called me later in the evening.
wow,
Yeah, and
exciting day.
yeah. And then I took the Simpsons gig, and the rest is, as they say, history.
Quite literally history. Yeah, 16 years in the making.
Yep.
Wow, that's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What a ride.
Yeah.
And then like and you just loved your experience there so much that you've just been there.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. Now, so because you're relatively senior there now. So are you like what's your typical day like on the job?
So
Like, what do you,
now my position is assistant director. So I work with
I actually did not know that.
Oh yeah. So I started out as what's called a character layout artist, and
that was your entry job, was character layout artist?
Yes. And that is so basically what we do is we take the storyboards and we basically flesh them out, and tie it down with like perspective, and if they're going to characters are going to be moving, like if they're going to be moving across the scene, if they're going to be moving in perspective, if they're going to be interacting with each other, interacting with objects, things like that. So we lay all that out. And if it requires a little bit of extra animation finesse, then we add that as well. But we're first and foremost layout artists. We make sure that everything looks nice, and then that will go. We do also the key animation drawings. So, for example, if a character is walking across the screen, we'll do like each passing position, and then that will then get sent to the studio in Korea, and they'll fill in all the in betweens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they also do the fine line and everything.
Exactly.
And then I think it was my third year now being an assistant director, second or third year. I don't remember.
So, but did you have other stepping stones along the way though? Because I mean, like
nope.
I really,
mm-hmm.
Okay. So you were doing character layout for many years.
Yeah.
And then recently you've been promoted to assistant director. Now, when we say assistant director, we talk about assistant director to the show, or are we saying assistant director, animation director?
A director to the episode. So I work.
That's it. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So I work.
That's super cool.
I work alongside my director. I guess I'll say his name, Rob Oliver, who's an amazing director. Which was funny because I actually I met him first when I was touring the studio back when I was a college student.
Okay.
I've known him for a very long time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we get the script, and then we do the storyboard phase, and then we do like a board revision, and then from there I help him basically make the episode.
Right.
So we focus on things like design, both background, character, and prop. We go over, make sure that the show is basically looking the way we want it to look, essentially.
Yeah.
So I just
that makes sense.
I just help take some of that load off of his shoulders.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. It's crazy. I did a bunch of, because I like you, I graduated from a program that was a 2D program, and I got a job originally, because this was back in this is pre-2000. This is the 1990s. So I got a job working in the classical animation industry, and I did a lot of character layout as well. It was a very popular job for animators, because for those who have never really worked in 2D, I think the best way of describing it is sort of like the 2D version of previs, because you need to do the things that Dane said. Essentially, you need to translate the storyboards into actionable scenes. So you need a background, but like if you're doing character layout, you're not doing the background. Some other like environmental layout artist does that, so which is sort of like drawing the background in perspective based on what the board was sort of suggesting. But they're looking at the designs of the room so that they're essentially drawing it the right way. And then the character layout artists are essentially staging out the characters. It's exactly. It's like pretty much like you said. Even and often sometimes if the character layout artists are good enough, which is often the case, the animator just ends up using or maybe tweaking at the very most the drawings that the actual character layout artist makes. So they are really they're setting the tone really, and like the overall stage and composition of that shot, which is not a surprise that you would graduate then into something where you're literally storyboarding and like assistant directing the actual episode, because it's at that point you're doing a lot more than just animating. You're you're kind of like the layout department is in a way almost like the DOP for a production.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So Scott is actually van animator. Scott Hewitt. I always talk about Scott Hewitt. He's our social manager. He's incognito in the he was until I actually blew his cover. He's a van animator in chat, and he actually had he put the link to your previous submission.
Oh, cool.
And I'm going to bring it up here because I think it's quite pertinent, because he made mention of, he was saying that I think it was right after you said that you were really excited about being, about maybe one day being a Warner Brothers animator.
Yes.
Because you were really into Looney Tunes. Yeah. And he piped up saying that makes a lot of sense after seeing your 3-hit combo. So I'm just for the sake of everybody, so everyone can be on the same page here, I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to share my my screen yet again. We just do.
Oh, and then while you're doing that, I'll just say, on Simpsons, we're actually still the only TV production that still does it all with layout and with animators. I'm sure you've heard the term like a storyboard show, something like a Family Guy. Well, all the storyboards are done here, and then that gets sent to another studio and they do all the animation and stuff. So we still do it. Everything you see, whenever you see a new episode of Simpsons,
the whole thing,
I mean, everything was drawn by someone. All the acting was done by someone on the crew. All the animation was done by someone on the crew. The backgrounds, I mean, if you look at backgrounds for the past like 10-15 years, they are incredible, especially with our color department. I mean, everything is done by hand. We use Cintiqs and we use Toon Boom, but we still draw right into Toon Boom.
That's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that, because you're right. That is definitely not the trend these days. Usually, there's usually like a lot of the stuff is farmed out to other studios, often overseas, where maybe the production work is a little bit the very labor intensive work of in-betweening and generating all those frames are done for a bit more of a production affordable price tag. Where obviously paying someone who lives in Burbank is not exactly going to be an affordable way of doing that. But it's pretty cool that is all being done there regardless, and that probably also is part of the secret of that success, because it's like to keep it all in house means that you can craft that show from conception all the way to execution.
Exactly.
And of course it's perfection by the time it gets out at the end, because especially with a team is so used to doing it, right? Like it's like a well-oiled machine over there by this point. So
no, very, very,
you know
very
what
much
you're
so.
making.
Yeah. I guess that's been another key to what's kept the show consistent, is that they do want us, the animators and the layout artists, they want us to put in unique acting. They want us to put in unique actions, unique locations. So if you look at Simpsons episodes, you notice that aside from things like maybe Homer strangling Bart, every action is unique. We always do something different. We don't just do like oh, I have an idea. Like, we don't do that. We do something else. They encourage us to do act it out, do something like fun and original. And that I think that's also that's kind of what's kept us fresh after all these years, is that they want unique ideas. Yeah.
It's like, because I mean, like, if we're going to do this all under this one house where we have the control, let's leverage that control, I guess, right? It's like, so in other words, you're actively, that the production mentality there is to actively resist and avoid cliche stuff. Like, come up with something original, come up with something that's Simpsons.
Yes,
so, so that you're making your own iconography moving forward, rather than just borrowing from someone. I mean, not to say that the Simpsons doesn't cleverly, nod generously in the direction of pop culture. Of course they do, but you do it in a Simpsons way, which is I think the key. That's interesting. I'm just gonna, so we'll pause here just quickly, just to say that I did it. I want to show this. There's so many things to talk about. I could pick your brain on that. Let me just bring up. There we go. I got it right here. All right. So I'm just got it in YouTube. So I apologize. I'm not gonna be able to scrub it or anything like that. Well, I'll play it a couple times because it's pretty genius.
And there's no sound or anything.
No. Yeah. So you're not missing out if you're wondering why there's no sound. It is so Warner Brothers. So yeah, I mean, and so this was your 3-hit combo. I love the whole train thing. It's just so perfect. He literally morphs into a locomotive and that's
to me, I mean, that's what cartoons and animation has always been for me ever since I was a kid. Is, I mean, you're really only limited by your imagination. So I mean, cartoons, you can do anything. I mean, literally anything. As long as you could think of it, you can do it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny because what you just said there is exactly what makes me kind of a little sad about 3D. Like 2D animation in this. I think when you boil it down, the biggest difference between 2D and 3D is 2D, you're limited only by your drawing skill, really, and your own imagination. Those are the only two things that are stopping you, and you can always get better at both of those two things. Where the problem with 3D is that like rigs and like it becomes like. It's like it brings a bit too much reality, the constraints that you have to deal with, because a rig is a physical digital puppet that, depending on how well it was rigged and how much it can bend and distort reality is dependent on how much time and energy and just the caliber of the rigger and the character artist themselves. How much, what is that rig? What can it do? You know what I mean? Where it's limitless in a 2D animator's mind, because all it takes is a really great idea and just make it happen.
Right.
So that shot of like transmorphing into a train would have been a very that would have haunted some technical animators evenings, if they were told they had to figure out a way of doing that. Because how do you morph a 3, like it would have had to be done probably with some sort of compositing trick as opposed to quite literally just drawing it morph into something. Like you can literally do whatever you want. So that's always the distinction that I've always had. And I mean, a lot of people that are in the industry these days have never even done anything in 2D. So they don't know, they don't miss it because it's hard to miss something you've never experienced before. But I definitely miss that. But that being said, one thing I do know, one thing I don't miss about the 2D days, I used to get something I used to call animation hangovers. The brain is working so hard because you're rotating things in 3D in your brain so that you can draw things from like multiple angles and try to keep it on model, as we say, in the industry. And that's not easy to do. Like it is like, we take it for granted that the computer does all that for us, but when you're trying to draw it like that, it's like, there's a reason why artists, like 2D artists, have to like stay sharp with their drawing, and a lot of them go to life drawing on a regular basis because this helps in reinforce and work out those muscles because you're going to need them every day. I
still do life drawing as much as I can.
Good for you. Good for you.
It's just
lots of options, I'm sure, in that part of town. You could probably just like throw a stone and hit a life drawing studio. Although, I mean, I wonder if a lot of them have been shut down lately because of the pandemic.
They have, but I have discovered some online ones.
Nice. Nice. That's cool.
But
do you have any you want to share with us? Because I mean, I'm sure other people would. People ask me all the time, like, how do I? Because maybe they live somewhere where like life drawing is not something that's super accessible. Maybe because they live in a remote town, or maybe they live in a country where that's a bit taboo. Like, there's a lot of reasons why people might not be able to get access to it.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like like this community kind of far reaches like so many different countries. I'm often surprised by my my own privilege, like that I don't even realize that. Wow, that's right. I guess I shouldn't assume that you have access to all these other things that I have totally been blessed with. So yeah, so online in your mind, where would you like? Do you have a couple top sites that you want to send people over to check out?
I mean, you could.
I'm kind of putting you on the spot, so if you can't remember, it's fine.
I don't remember. I mean, actually, because of the pandemic, people learned how to adjust and do life drawing remotely. The last one I did was actually by the Cirque du Soleil company. They actually have a
nice.
Yeah, they have a
I didn't even know this.
Yeah, they have
here.
They have a workshop in downtown LA here, and they offer for artists. If you want to draw some of their performers, they have it basically like on a screen like this, and then they give you however many minutes, and you draw it either on paper or on your Cintiq, whatever.
They time you, just like you would in a real life drawing session.
Except
so it forces you to like
but they're doing like crazy like contortionist poses, and they have like
acrobatics,
really cool costumes and stuff. I mean, that was such a fun thing to do.
That's cool. I want to look into that myself. I'm gonna pester you for a link after this chat, because I wouldn't mind trying to get more information about that, because I think the community would love that. I usually send people to they have this everywhere, everywhere in a lot of the major cities where you expect animators to live. Dr. Sketchies. Have you ever heard of Dr. Sketchies?
No. I don't know what that is.
No? Okay. Some people might know what I'm talking about. So Dr. Sketchies is similar in a weird way, but it's burlesque. So you go to what Dr. Sketchies became famous for was they would show up at a bar, and you would be like, you grab a beer and you draw, and the subject would be a burlesque model. So they're obviously in some sort of character, sort of like it was always really interesting, and it was always a bit of a surprise what you were going to get. And it was always really interesting because you're mixing alcohol with drawing, which who knows what that's gonna lead to, but usually a lot of really sloppy lines. But it's fun. I used to do it all the time in Toronto, and they have a pretty good. Van Animator is confirming that there's one in Montreal. I know there's one in Montreal. There's one in Vancouver for sure. Maybe it's only a Canadian thing, and I'm just totally like in my own little Canadian bubble right now. But I was told that it does exist outside. But anyways, Dr. Sketchies, you could find there. Like, they have a Facebook group if you're curious, if you want to look into it. Yeah, check it out. Sure. I often send people. There's a place I discovered not so long ago called it's literally called Line of Action, which is such a clever name for an online site. And they have sessions. They even have courses you can take. I haven't actually applied into the courses, so I don't know what the quality is like. But the website seems to be set up really well, and the sample stuff they have there seems to be on the nose. So that might be worth taking a look at. Oh, this sounds like they had Dr. Sketches in Melbourne as well, which is pretty cool. So I guess it is international. I wasn't crazy, although it could have went either way. I'm always on that very, very thin line between crazy and something else. So and the other place I often do, but just because I think she's amazing and I know her, is of course is Samantha Youssef. She has a website called Studio Technique. So for those of you in chat, that's another. Maybe you've heard me talk about it before, but she's got a really great online course as well. She had a pivot like so many others. I think she did some online stuff before that, but. That's cool. So that's something that you continue to do, even though, which is funny because your job is less about like the actual. Well, I mean, you're doing storyboards, which is really just a looser form of a character layout, really, right? In many ways, and you're the one making that original drawing, as opposed to in character layout you would have referred to the actual storyboard and then laid it out relative to that, right? But now you're the one who has to have all the answers because you're actually setting the tone and actually making the decisions on the shot.
Right.
So, but I guess life drawing helps you kind of probably draw quickly.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, because the faster you can just get those lines down, and especially we're drawing human figures and things like that. The quicker you can do that, the better, and the more convincing. So if as long as you have a good, strong understanding of just the basics, functionality of like the human body, and how things connect into what, and how things bend and whatnot. It'll just make you just go that much quicker. Yeah, it's just, you just get that confidence and that that muscle memory of like, oh, I know how an arm works. Oh, I know how a leg connects into the hip. Yeah.
Absolutely. But because it helps that whole mitigate that animation hangover effect, because it, like, if you get it in your brain that you just understand and you can see the human body from all those dimensions, then it makes it easier to draw it because you can see it in your head, as opposed to being like, like pulling a muscle in your brain to try to figure it out.
Yeah. And
I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's one of the biggest things that I've gained from working on The Simpsons is that, these characters are very, like you said, they're very iconic and they look a certain way. And they're also very, they have a very kind of plump look to them. And we have to be able to draw them in any angle. And like you said, I can't just rotate a model. I gotta think, okay, how am I gonna draw the character at this way? So for doing it for so many years, it's really, really trained me to be able to just, even with my own work, being able to really rotate things in three dimensions and see things three-dimensionally. That's been a huge help, and that's been a huge influence on even my regular work.
Makes sense. I mean, you don't want to be spending too much time trying to figure out how to draw it, because your job essentially is to put ideas to paper. But like that, the draftsman part of that job is sort of just like, you don't want it to be a nuisance. You don't want it to, you want it to get in the way. It just needs to be there so that you're equipped enough that you can just put those ideas. Because I mean, I remember when I was a young animator, and I would still be like this because I'm so rusty with my drawing. That I would a lot of my poses would be limited based on I was too scared to try to draw that, or I don't feel like I can. And it's because, again, just to, for everybody in chat, I mean, in 2D, it's not that like it's not that I wouldn't be able to draw that one pose, but I need to be able to draw to that pose. Or, especially if I want to break that down, I would need to make sure that I knew how to get, the intermediate poses or drawings between those two major poses. And that might have been too much for me, and I would just get scared off. And then I would therefore not be putting my best ideas to paper. I would be putting the best ideas that I felt I could, execute on, which totally different thing.
And I've had,
do you have any?
I was going to say, I've had people ask me things about that, like how do I get past those kind of hurdles? I always just say the same thing. Just draw a lot.
Keep drawing.
Like the things I always like to tell people is like, you draw enough to the point where you don't have to think while you're drawing, you just do it. Like, for example, when you're eating, you don't have to actively think like put fork in food, lift fork to mouth. Like, no, you just do it. And you draw enough, you do enough life drawing, you do enough study and observation, you'll be able to just do it and not think about it. Then you can use your creativity to focus on other things, like like you said, like breakdowns or timing or all that or
just a good gag.
Or a gag.
Which is obviously what The Simpsons is all about, right? Is be able to, like, it's like comical timing that has been perfected to the nth degree by now. Just like a lot of other shows that I really enjoy, like Family Guy, like they found their own sort of style, like the one frame fall or the awkwardly long complaining of a sore leg after said fall. Like, I mean, it's like, it's funny how shows they have their things, right? Like, it's like, and the fans just eat it up. But what I find, what keeps a show fresh is coming up with new gags that still work within that sort of ecosystem, but has a new fresh take on it. I can't get enough of that. I think that the best shows that have lived this long have all successfully done that. They found a way of evolving their humor, but staying still true to their original sort of like their original brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there moments in your Simpsons career that you like that stick out as a particularly funny moment or a particularly maybe difficult moment? Tell us about like the trials and tribulations and the victories of Dane Romley.
Oh my gosh.
The Simpsons professional.
I just remembering that, like, I'm part of the show that's been on for so long. It still blows my mind. Like, sometimes I'm like, man, I can't believe that. But some of
it doesn't feel like 16 years, does it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's funny.
No,
that's weird.
Yeah, it's
16 years is a long time.
And I was going to say earlier, I forgot, because you mentioned the animation fatigue. I definitely slept for about a week after I finished this Naruto thing, because I was so focused on it for the whole month.
Oh man.
But in terms,
did it feel like you're in school again? You're like, oh,
Oh,
it feels just like the good old days
yeah.
when I didn't sleep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Mm.
totally. Yeah. Especially fourth year when I was doing my student film. Yeah, it was just nonstop working. But let's see, going back to your question. I think the most, I mean, everything I've done, um it's been challenging, but in a good way. Like I like
Yeah, sure.
being challenged, and Simpsons is very much a good challenge because, like I said, we always have to come up with something new and fresh, and whether it's acting or
Yeah.
animation. Um, I guess the quote most fun things I've done. I've got to
Mhm.
animate a few itchy and scratchy sequences in my time there,
Oh,
and those are
yeah.
always fun.
Oh, that's
Because
lovely.
then that's like the director says, no, go do whatever you want to do because
For like
this.
quite literally go
Yeah,
crazy.
because it's it's supposed to emulate old Saturday morning cartoons, so I can get away
Yep.
with more like
Yep.
uh,
Yeah.
skewing of the model and things like that. Those are always
Absolutely.
fun.
Yeah. Like, well, it's got the kind of stuff that you thought you wanted to do when you were a kid,
Oh,
right? Like, it's
absolutely.
gives you like that Warner
Oh
Brothers
yeah,
moment right there in on the
yeah,
job.
yeah,
That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
I've loved doing those. We used to do uh, back when they were releasing DVD box sets. They would have these menus, these DVD menus, and above all the text and stuff, there would be like little animations playing, usually referencing whatever the season was. And I used to do a lot of that stuff. Those were a lot of fun to do too. Um, Gosh, it's been so much. I've done a lot of commercials.
Oh yeah.
Back when we were doing
Like,
the movie back in 2007.
oh, right. So like teasers for the
Yeah. Oh,
film.
yeah. Yeah, we did a lot of stuff like
Oh
that. We did
man,
stuff for oh,
that's
I don't know if I
cool.
can say names. But no, we did.
Oh yeah, it's okay. Yeah, don't get yourself in any hot
Yeah, no,
water.
we did, and we did stuff that normally we wouldn't see. Like for example, we did some Simpson commercials for some channels in Europe. Thing that didn't air here because they were specific for those stations, and those were a lot of fun to work on. Um,
Mm.
and then I guess the most challenging, I guess that would be last season. It was actually just last season. We did a show where uh, it's one of those kind of fantasy episodes where the Simpsons is imagined, but in ancient Rome,
Mm.
and that was super challenging
Yeah, it
because
was okay.
they wanted it to be history accurate, and they wanted it to be like,
Yeah.
especially all the backgrounds. If you go like, if you look at that, just go look at the backgrounds. They're so incredible. The work our team did on that with the backgrounds and the coloring, it's easily one of the best looking shows we've made, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But that was just super challenging because like we had all these characters had to have unique costumes because they had to match like the period, and then like I said, the backgrounds, and then like props and like everything. It was very, very, very intricate and very complicated, but we did it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the hardest. At least the ones that I've worked on, I think that was the most challenging, but also the most rewarding because now
Right.
like I'm so proud of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's usually the way it goes, right? It's like the challenging ones or the challenging moments on a job are usually the ones that are. It's like that's what growth feels like,
Oh
right?
yeah,
It's
totally.
like, one way or another, you're going to get through it and you will have
Yeah.
grown. And I mean, all artists crave
Yeah. Oh
that,
yeah.
even though we might be scared of it when we first are presented by it, because it pushes us out into the light.
Sure.
And we like maybe being in that dark corner sometimes in our comfort zone. But we all know, having gone through them in the past, that we will feel awesome about it later on.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's super like it's challenging, but it's also super like rewarding artistically and creatively because we just get a script with words
yeah.
that say like, oh, family is in ancient Rome, and then that's it. Like maybe we'll get like a description, oh, they're in front of the Colosseum or something. Still, we have to bring that to life. Like, what does that look like? Not only what does that look like, what does that look like in the Simpsons world, in the Simpsons style? Um,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, that's it. Like, there's a lot of translations you need to do
yeah,
because Simpsons often operate in their town
Mhm.
and they operate in the same
Oh,
houses.
yeah,
Like it's you have a how do I say, well developed library
Mhm.
of visual
Oh yeah,
design
we
and
have a
like,
huge stock
it's
library of stuff. Yeah,
right. So when you go and do something like this, it's like you're on uncharted territory.
yeah.
You like literally have to, oh wow, we have to quite literally, it's like making a whole
Mhm.
new world, but
Yeah.
Simpsonized, which is I'm
Oh,
sure
totally.
fun, but also intimidating.
Right. And
That's
yeah,
cool.
last season we also one of the episodes we did also was Thanksgiving of horror, which was they always have like a Halloween of horror every year, but
Yep.
they
Yep.
tried something
Yep.
new, doing a Thanksgiving themed one. And that
Oh,
was a
I didn't see
lot
this
of
one.
fun to work on. I believe it's on streaming now. Thanksgiving Horror, and that was a lot of fun, because it was like one of the stories was like the Simpsons characters as like turkeys, and they're just gobbling like that instead of like talking. So we have to come up with how do they look, how do they walk. I remember like part of my job was to the little dangly thing, like how does that work when they talk? Like do they talk? Do they, because their beaks, are they going to form like ooh mouths? And then like how do their wings look when they open? And things like that.
It had to be someone's job, and it's interesting that was your job. Now we all know that's the person who had to figure that out.
And then we had one of the other stories was they were the kids were in space, and then they crash landed on this alien planet. So of course we got to come up with how this alien planet looks, and it's got to be Simpson style. And it's definitely one of the more fun and rewarding parts of the job for sure.
That's cool. So, I mean, I'm curious. I think, and I think I'll ask this one last question, and then we'll take it to chat a little bit to see if there's something kicking around in their minds that they want to pick your brain about. But one thing for sure I'm wondering is how were you prepared for the job that you're in? Because that's a pretty big responsibility. Like I to think of that, it almost stresses me thinking about it, because I think the reason it stresses me is because comedy has always stressed me, because comedy is one of those things that like the people who do it well make it look really easy. And there's nothing easy about making something like universally funny. And it's something that a show like The Simpsons has nailed many years ago. But now there's this expectation, right? And it would be weird to watch a Simpsons episode and not laugh. It would be weird. And like, I mean, a buddy of mine, he's gonna get a kick out of this conversation I just had with you, because he is obsessed with the Simpsons. I don't think I know anybody who's like, for sure, he has seen every single episode for every single of the 33 years that it's been on. And I always feel like a jerk, because I've maybe seen, if I'm lucky, maybe I've seen about 10 or 15% of all the episodes, not because I don't love the show, just but I don't have that dedication. And I never dive that deep in just about anything. And even then 10 or 15% of 30 years is a lot of shows. So it's not all of them like him. But anyways, my point in all of this is that, there is a large following of people that have come to expect that kind of level of humor. So to go from animation school to get a job in like character layout, and then of course, like I was saying, that would be like obviously reading the script and also referencing the storyboard to be able to put that. You need to understand the story, otherwise you won't be able to lay it out properly. But now you're the one that's doing the earlier step where it's like you're working directly with the writers. Obviously. And obviously, and you just said the other day that you were having a call with Matt. Like that's the level you're operating now on the show, because it's your responsibility along with your director to make sure that show is going to be funny and also be Simpsons, be on brand. Like what do you think has in your life? And maybe these are things that you just maybe were born with, or maybe these things that you could, maybe there's things that you learn along the way, like either through peers or through books or through training programs. What do you think prepared you for this job? Because this is not an animation job. It's obviously a peripheral to animation, but it is quite more literally. It's more of a story job.
Right? First and foremost, it's a story job for sure.
So like I'm just curious, like, how did you make that leap? Do you feel like you were always meant for that? And you were always sort of like, was that a natural trajectory, or is that something that somewhere in your tenure at Simpsons that you started like feeling like, hey, or maybe some of your supervisors were like starting to groom you for that job, because those jobs don't just get offered to people randomly, especially on a show like Simpsons, because there's so much to lose by putting the wrong person in that role, right? Like, let's face it, like you put the wrong person in that role, that has serious consequences if you can't make the show Simpsons, and there's all these expectations on top of that. So what do you think? What did you do? Like, do you have an idea? Do you have like a game plan that people can kind of break down?
I wish I did. I don't know, just growing up, and I was just always drawn. It just kind of happened. I mean, I was never. I know a lot of artists have goals, like they want to work for Disney, or they want to work for like me. I want to work for Looney Tunes or whatever. But when it came time to graduating college, I was just like, I just want to get a job. I mean, I was so eager to get into the industry and just start working. I was so hungry for it that And then I just got lucky with the timing, and also because my animation professor worked at the show at the time, he was able to bring me in and introduce me to people.
Oh, that's right. That's cool. Yeah, that's good.
And then, yeah, just, I mean, in school, I mean, they taught us, the basics in terms of like, I did take a layout course in college, lots of animation, of course. There was, character design, there was storyboard. They give you a taste of all the bits.
Yeah.
I even did a little bit of 3D modeling animation. I didn't take it too well. I'm definitely a 2D guy. It's I mean, what they can do now, of course, with 3D animation is amazing. I mean, it looks beautiful. I wish I can do that stuff.
Sure.
But for me personally, like, I like to draw the things because I feel like I can control it better. I also I guess I can feel the things like the movements and the expressions or whatever better. But in terms of what prepared me, I think,
or like maybe like, do you think was there a moment, like, did you like were your supervisor, like, where do you think that it's suddenly that you started like be kind of starting to move, like at what point do you feel like there was a turning point in your career where you were like the character layout was going to maybe turn into was there something that you were doing that you were being like praised for, like that who spotted this talent in you that decided that that you need to be in this job?
I guess it was,
I know it's a very specific question,
but I've never really thought about that. That's a good question though. When you're drawing these characters as much as we do, I mean, we draw them 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I mean, you learn the models and you learn the different intricacies of the show and whatnot. And then I guess I just got to a point where I had drawn them and I drawn the show so much that I was just used to it, and I could do it. And I would be looking for, I guess I'd be looking for like new challenges. So, and then, I guess I got kind of known as like the animation guy, like that, like, like doing the itchy and scratchy stuff I can do. And that was always a lot of fun. Any chance for me to do like just fun, exaggerated acting animation, I would definitely do. And then when I was approached by my director, because I mean, I like I said, I'd known him for many years, and I'd worked with him. I'd actually worked under him on his show, so we knew how each other worked. I knew exactly what he was always looking for. So when he was looking for a new assistant director, my first show was a show called My Sports. It was one where Bart joins an esports team, kind of like a League of Legends team.
Sure.
And I know that my director asked me if I was interested in doing AD for that, because I'm familiar with video games and design and character design and things like that.
Do you play League? I'm curious.
No, I don't. But I've seen it. And actually, for research for the show, we actually went to a few like live, I don't know, like matches.
Yeah. Like where you go, like there's a crowd and everything, right? People go.
And that's like, it's like I'd never done that before, so that was fun. And people get really into it.
You went there just to soak up the culture, I guess, to sort of absorb it, understand what it was, so that you could sort of riff on the show properly with it. Yeah.
And then actually, I got to design all the game characters for that episode, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah, so I did that. I also got to design like idle animations that we need, because we're trying to mimic the look of League of Legends. That was a lot of fun. And then it just kind of stuck. And like we worked, me and my director worked really well together. And I think that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question, because I mean, I just for me, like, I was curious as if it was like, if there was moments that you were aware of, like, were you always being tapped to, like, were you being brought into brainstorming sessions or something like that? Like, obviously having worked on the show for 16 years, obviously getting the chance to sort of work on these iconic, really funny moments like the itchy scratchy stuff, naturally people will, you've been around for a while. So like, the show. Yeah. So like you could like, you could give people probably a master class in, some of the newer recruits on like what the show is all about. Like you could probably easily sort of boil it down into its sort of basic ingredients, because you know them like literally as well as you probably know yourself by this point.
And that's also part of my job, is when we get new people onto our crew, Is I'll spend some time with them to show them kind of the ins and outs of how the show works, and because the characters are deceptively simple to draw. I mean, they look simple because they got the nice round eyes, everything's very round, but getting like that particular style, the Simpsons, how the Simpsons look,
I know,
it takes a lot of pencil mileage to kind of get really familiar with the model.
Yep. No, there's no doubt in my mind. Like we were saying this earlier, like there's an elegance to it that has sort of formed over the years, but you can't confuse elegance for simplicity, because it is not. It's like it's elegant by design, and therefore you need to understand the ingredients that go into that design so that you can properly emulate it from any angle, at any given moment.
Like I said before, I mean, everything that you see on the screen is drawn by us. There's nothing done in the computer. I mean, we have sometimes maybe like a vehicle or something we'll have like in CG or whatever.
I noticed that every once in a while.
And that just helps us get the actions and stuff that we want. But everything on there, I mean, from any angle, we drew that.
That's so crazy. Just like the good old days.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I picked your brain, I think, enough. I mean, there's I don't want to overstay my welcome here, but I do want to ask if there's people in chat, if they want to ask this fine gentleman with many, many years of experience, any kind of questions. Obviously, but we need to respect that Dane does work obviously for a company. And so like, if there's a question that you feel like you don't feel comfortable with at all, just by all means, just say, just tell us. We'll respect that. We'll back off, just because we don't want to get you in any kind of trouble, because at the end of the day, it's your job. So we don't want to kind of jeopardize that in any kind of way. So if anybody has anything they'd like to ask, here's a question already. Van Animator. Do you ever, let me bring it up. And I should give a shout out here, because Josh is actually a student of mine currently.
How'd you do that?
He loves the shirt too. I get to do that.
Wow.
I'll give
I feel like I'm old funny daddy. Like, I'm so amazed by all this like technology stuff.
Well, I could just highlight questions that are in the chat there. Like, you can read all those questions as they come in, but I have the ability to just kind of click on it because I've got superpowers in here. Okay, so here's the question. Now that we know that Josh loves your shirt as much as I do, I think, Josh, we should have a fight about who loves the shirt more, because I think it's going to be me. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you went the Disney interactive route? That's a good question.
I have because it's a fork, wondered that. Right? Yeah, I have wondered
in
that
the road
before.
For you.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Disney. I honestly don't know kind of where that section is now.
Either way, you would have still ended up working for Disney, which is the irony to this whole story.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
You would have been working.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's like one of those. It's like a fork in a game, like a Mass Effect game, where you have a bunch of branches, but they all end up coming back anyways, and it's just feigning sort of choice, but it's that's not really fair, because Mass Effect actually is one of the games out there that there's a lot of actual real branching, which is what makes those games so difficult to make, because they're gigantic. But a lot of games really cheap out.
Yeah, but no, that's a great question. Because I am.
But you would have been working in video games.
Yeah,
and you like video games.
No, I love video games. I would actually love to even work on one now. One of my little side projects that I'm doing now, like people who follow me on Instagram, is I'm trying my hand at animating like a game character. I mean, I've got no training in like game design or coding or anything like that. I'm just going off of what I think would look good in the game. So I'm just playing around with that, just because I'm just so curious with that. So if I had wanted Disney Interactive, I think it would have been a lot of fun to work on games.
Oh man, you would love it.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a lot of fun.
I don't know how much drawing would be involved, unless
you could. I mean, like even modern engines like Unreal and Udemy, they allow you to do 2D sort of like hand-drawn sprite-based games still. Yeah. There's it's meant to, you can allow you to do anything, like anything completely 3D or VR, all the way down to like a side-scrolling sprite-based game if you wanted to.
Right. But I guess I mean, I just love drawing and I love animation, and I mean, for me, just as long as I'm drawing and animating, I mean, I can be anywhere.
Well, I mean, if you're ever curious on scratching that itch and goofing around in Unreal, let me know.
Okay, no, definitely,
because I could show you some of the things. And I'm no pro by any stretch of imagination, but I think I know enough to to throw some cool things in your direction for you to chew on and to sort of allow you to chase some of those pies in the sky, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay, what else we got? Hold on, let me just move this one. Here's one. Did you ever this is a good one, and this is funny because like I can honestly answer yes to this question. Have you ever stayed awake at night trying to twist your brain, I guess, or warp your head, as he says, around how a character would look like in a specific perspective?
Oh, yeah.
Like, have you ever encountered some character on the show where it's like, I don't know how that's supposed to look?
Oh, pretty much every day.
There you go. So not just at night, but like quite literally. And this haunts you probably later when you are trying to sleep. Have you ever had animation dreams that you can't escape, and you just keep trying to solve the same problem over and over again? It's one of those like restless sleeps. I used to get them all the time when I was doing 2D.
Yeah. I mean, because animation, especially 2D, it's all problem solving. I mean, every day we're like presented with a problem. Like, for example, going back to my 3-hit combo entry, like you said, how do I get this kangaroo to morph into this train? I don't have a reference for that, so I have to solve that problem. And with Simpsons, I mean, we have problems every day. It's like, how do we put these characters in this particular angle? Because sometimes we have like extreme angles, sometimes we got like down angles, and it ultimately just comes down to what tells the story. And it's really it's like you said earlier. It's more storytelling than anything. It's just all about and then breaking down the characters, of course, in not just Simpsons, but any styles. You break down the character into just basic shapes, three-dimensional shapes. And then as long as you can kind of do that and do it in your mind and then put it on paper, it should be very much doable to kind of draw any character in any position.
Do you find like a lot of shows that have very stylized sort of kind of renderings of the character, especially like 2D ones, I find that there are some cheats for sure. Yeah, like there's angles that you cheat because it would look really weird and awkward from that angle. So you draw it in a slightly cheated way just to make it look kind of more aesthetic. Are there a lot of that? Is there a lot of that going on in Simpsons? I assume so, based on of the very enthusiastic kind of nodding you're doing right now. So like I would imagine it's because it's a very stylized looking show, right?
And again, it's all about solving those problems. So if the easiest way to solve a particular problem is to quote do a cheat, then as long as we can make it look convincing, then we'll do it.
When another thing too, just for those who've not worked on a 2D production, the character does like the design department, they usually create these character sheets that also help animators. Their job is to understand, and they will often even like a show like The Simpsons, I'm sure by this point you've made probably a lot of 3D maquettes of a lot of the characters, like your character department probably has. So a lot of the animators will even get a chance, like if they need to see a maquette so they can understand what it looks like from 3 dimensions. We use we
have model sheets that we still use, like traditional 2D model sheets, showing the rotations. We don't have 3D models.
You guys never made maquettes or anything like that sit on desks?
No, I mean, we'll have our little desk toys or something that maybe maybe I'm just curious, like I'll just grab like,
It's funny. You go to like Toys R Us so you can buy yourself like a Simpsons toy, but you're like, that's weird because I work on the show like that. You think that I would just have this in my drawer automatically? That's funny. Well, I mean, it's more of a 3D thing, but like, I mean, I've never worked on a 2D show where like, that's not true. I worked on a show a long time ago where the main character that we did actually have, we hired a sculptor. This is not a 3D sculpt that was made. It was an actual clay sculpt that was made of the main character. And it was a really great reference, but it wasn't as stylized as your show. So maybe it wouldn't make as much sense, like to build, because that would be maybe a difficult thing to do, to translate the characters. Although that's been done. There's Simpsons video games. There are Simpsons toys.
There's lots.
Interesting. So I have I have to bring this one up because there's a person in chat who I seems to know you from back in the day. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Hopefully this doesn't embarrass you too much.
Oh no.
It's the kind of thing that would happen like when you're like,
yes. Long time family friend. This is one of my mom's best friends.
That's very cool. Hi, Barbara.
Yes. Hello.
Thanks for coming to the stream.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
This is sort of like having like, oh my God, my mom's in chat moment. It's pretty much the next best thing. So yeah, that's cool. So like obviously for her, I'm sure Barbara's sitting there thinking like, obviously this was what was going to happen. Like it's I remember like when I was young, I was like the artist of the family, and so like my grandmothers and my parents were always assuming that I would do something with myself, like in my life that would be creative. So I'm sure it's got to be fun for your parents and your parents' friends to sort of to see you realize that sort of that trajectory that they saw was very clearly in your future, right?
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, growing up, I was just always drawing all the time. So I mean, everyone in the family knows. Yeah,
sounds like it. Here's a question for you. I'll ask a couple more, and then I'm going to cut you loose so you can actually enjoy the rest of your Saturday. How do you stay motivated to work on your personal projects?
Oh, good question.
Like is that? Yeah. Do you have a trick?
How do I stay motivated? Again, it's one of those things that's hard to explain with words. It's just this feeling that I have. Like I said, I love drawing and I love animating and creating, which is one of the main reason why I joined this group, was because it gives me a chance to just be creative and work on something that's different and unique. And as to the question is, how do I stay motivated?
I feel like you're just one of those people that are motivated naturally.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have to make myself do these side things, like personal projects, like this Naruto entry that I did. I definitely had to I have to carve out time every single day because I want to do this. I want to make it look good, and I want to do this right.
You don't want to half-ass it.
Yeah, no.
You want to do, like, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it.
Yeah, and that's I think that's something that I've definitely learned working in animation is we never do anything half-ass. Like, we always put in like a full 100%. And then so how do I stay motivated? Yeah, it's just because I just like doing it, and then I just have this this what's the word? I guess desire to I just want to do stuff on the side.
Do you have a routine? Like, do you ever, like, for instance, do you ever think about, like, man, I really want to do this thing? You have this idea that's kicking around in your head, and then there's like a moment where it's like a do or die moment. It's like, I'm going to do it. But like, is there a way of psyching yourself up? I think the reason why I think it's such a pertinent question, and I think I flirted with this question a little bit earlier with the idea of like, why did you decide to do it? I think it's because I think there's a lot of people that are in chat, and there's a lot of people that are in this community that are exactly in the same boat as you. They're either, they have a job, but they themselves, they all feel like they could use that sort of personal outlet to be themselves as an animator and just have fun creating and exploring their own creative space, as opposed to kind of working within the confines of someone else's space. But like, so I think you automatically recognize, and you have it in you, that there's an outlet that you want anyways to produce animation. But like, what is there a trick that you can, like, is there something that you do in your mind that sort of goes from that would be cool to like, I'm actually going to do it? Like, is it just, you just make the decision, and are you weighing the pluses and minuses? Are you like, is there a pro and con thing that you're doing to sort of decide that that's worth the time when you're spending a whole day at work doing pretty much the same thing but different? Like,
I mean, it's
because some people really struggle with
this.
Yeah,
sure. I guess it's a combination of all those things. Going back to this Naruto entry that I did. This is actually something I've been wanting to do for years. I mean, I've done lots of like fan art, just still images, but I've always wanted to do an animation just for fun, for no other reason than just because I want to. Because I'm such a huge fan of the show.
Just geek out, right?
Basically,
almost.
And then this was just the perfect opportunity, because it was like, okay, we're going to give you this chance to do it. You have 30 days and you have a time limit of 8 seconds, go. And then that really forces you, or at least forced me, to just be like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take all these crazy ideas I had. I'm going to narrow it down to just one, and then I'm just going to do it. And then, I mean, the biggest motivation is I just do it because I like it. It just makes me happy doing it.
Helps.
Of course, there are those days when, like you said, I'm drawing 8-9 hours a day, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'm just so exhausted, I don't want to do it. But it's just, it's just that desire of like, I just want to do something fun and unique. And then I just make the time. So, cause I've heard that question a lot, like, well, how do you stay motivated to do personal projects or work on the side or whatever? You just make the time. You just do it. You just,
I think it's healthy, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's like, because we sometimes, I think my impression on this is that it can be dangerous if you're working a job all the time and you let it become too much of a job and you lose touch with the idea that it's a passion of yours and it's a craft. It's hard, right? It's like, being a professional artist or animator, illustrator, compositor, VFX artist, whatever it might be, you are doing something that is close to your heart. You're not a good artist unless what you do is somehow close to who you are as a person, as a human being. And I think it's always tricky to combine that, like that passion and art with commerce. In other words, you're now getting paid to do it. There's expectations to do it, and it's rhythmic, and it's like it's predictable sometimes, and it's like that because you're part of a money making machine, right? At the end of the day, and some of us are lucky to work on really funny, engaging shows, and some of us maybe not. Sometimes we might find ourselves on a show that's not so exciting, but it's a means to the next job. And so at the end of the day, I think it is healthy for us, and it's like working out, right? Like none of us, and I mean, I'm guilty. I hate working out, but every time I do, after I'm like, why did I not do this all the time? Because the endorphins are firing. You feel really good afterwards, and you realize this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be sitting in front of a monitor all the time. I'm your human body was designed to move and to chase and to do things, so it's kind of nice to just go out and do those things, just like it's nice to go and remember and rekindle some of those inner passions that are sometimes a little easier to access when you're doing it kind of your own thing.
Right? And that brings up a good point too, is that you have to do it for no one than yourself. Because I know, especially now with like social media, stuff like that, I know people feel like pressured of like, oh, I gotta post constantly because people are expecting it, or I gotta do something because people like it. Like the things that I do, or things that I post, or even something like this, the challenge, I do because I like it, and I do what I like. And if other people like that too, that's great. I love sharing ideas, stuff like that. And if people don't, that's fine too. I'm not here to please anybody besides just myself. I mean, of course, doing my job, I've got to please my bosses, of course.
Clearly.
But when it comes to just doing your own things like personal projects and whatnot, you do it for yourself because you like it. There's no other reason.
It allows it centers me, at least myself. When I take the time to go do something of my own creative thing, it always reminds me why I do this for a living. Sometimes it's easy to forget. You get too caught up in the politics and it's it's the grind of the job sometimes, and it's like I said, it's because it's a job, and it's hard to mix your passion and your hobby with your job. Those two things are difficult to coincide with, and you got to find mechanisms. And I find that one of those mechanisms is to put yourself out there and to just do something for yourself, God forbid, as an artist. Now, my last question to you is going to be this.
Okay.
Do you have any wise words for people that are then like maybe in the sidelines? Maybe it's because they're new at animating and they're too nervous or they're too shy to put themselves out there and to do their own personal project and put it out there. Like, I'm not talking specifically an Anim Challenge. I'm just talking about doing something. You know what I mean? Like, it's all easy to think about it and fantasize about it and like dream about it. It's a whole other thing to just go and do it. Do you have because so it might be because they're new and they don't feel good enough, or it might be that they keep telling themselves that they're too busy and they don't have time for that. What would you say to these people that might be just locked in that paralysis?
You just gotta do it. I mean, there's no. I wish there was a secret ingredient other than you just gotta do it. And like I said, do it because you want to. It was a very specific question.
I know. I'm terrible. I'm giving you all these like very abstract, like mind bending. Like, by the way, also, so one last question, actually. Do you have the cure for cancer? And if you do, can you share it with us right now?
I do. I'm just keeping it to myself for now.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fair. See, that was an easier. You answered that one much easier than these other ones, and I thought that was going to be the big mind blowing one.
Okay.
Well, so it boils down to just stop dreaming about it and just like put yourself out there, right? Because it's not.
I mean, we all have to start from somewhere. I mean, I've been doing this for 16 years, but I had to start somewhere, and I was nowhere near the level I'm at now when I first started. And it's just like I tell people all the time, you just have to just draw and just do it. And then don't, like I said, don't do it for anybody else other than yourself, because that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from. Like, oh, what if people don't like it? Or what if someone doesn't do it? Like, oh, like and if young artists are ever feeling like, oh, I'm not drawing the way I want to, or like, oh, I want to reach this level and I'm not there yet, I'm so frustrated. It's like, you just have to just keep going. You just don't think about it and just do it.
That is some really sage advice right there. What you just said, this idea that you do it for yourself. Because I didn't click with it when you said it earlier, but when you said it like this, it frames it in a way in my mind that really is super helpful. That you just literally do, like, stop caring about what other people think and do it for yourself. There is an anxiety that comes with art, because technically art is, the making part, and then it's there and it's there to be potentially judged by others. But I think that part is what you need to let go of a little bit, because if you let the fear of people judging it not being good enough or not funny enough or not yellow enough, then the problem is I get yellow in my brain because of Simpsons. That's really funny. It's that those voices are literally, ironically, what's going to stop you from getting to the point where you will be confident, because your skills are at a level that you can put it out there and know that people are going to like it. And so it's hard. It's not, we're making it sound easy because, maybe because we've been through it. It's easy for us because we've been doing it for a number of years. So, I mean, I'm sure that Dane and I both don't think it's easy, but the truth is, easier or not, it is the only way forward, is do it for yourself, because it will come. And there will be a time where you're not going to have to be so anxious. That's actually not even, that's a lie. We're all anxious because of that sort of imposter syndrome that lives in all of the artists, like myself, and I'm sure you, but
that's actually,
it's just there.
That's actually a term I just learned recently, this imposter syndrome. That's something I'd not really heard before recently. And that's a very interesting term, because I would say that if you're ever feeling like an imposter, like I just like for me, it doesn't make sense. Like, imposter to who? So I guess that goes back to what I was saying. You do this stuff for yourself, but like if people are like, oh, like I just like that, like, oh, if I work on this new show and like I feel like I'm not good enough to be there. And it's like, well, if you are hired, obviously they think you're good enough, so you just got to do it. And of course, I mean, of course, getting criticism, of course, is never easy, and especially if you're if you're feeling kind of insecure about your work and things like that. It's important to not take that stuff personally. I mean, even now, I mean, I get critiqued all the time, and that's one of the reasons why I do this challenge, because I want a critique. Like, I want like a professional, I want like a professional level critique. Because
that was one of my first questions to you, right? Which is like, so like, is the critique a thing that you are actually interested in? Because we're always worried about professionals like you doing the challenge, and it's like, do you even care about getting a critique? And you're just like, actually, yes. That's one of I want to know what my peers think, especially when you're doing work that is outside of your normal sort of like expertise of working on The Simpsons. It's like, there's your Simpsons work over here, and then there's Dane the animator and what he wants to do, and like, Dane the guy who likes to dabble in anime, and Dane the guy who likes to kind of dabble and dream about doing Looney Tunes stuff, and like that is a whole other world. Like they're so obviously in that space, yes, please critique the hell out of me. Right?
I mean, work stuff gets critiqued, daily, which is part of the job. But that's just part of the job. That's what helps you grow, and that's what helps you solve those problems, and that's what makes the show look amazing, like it is now. But like my own personal stuff, I don't get a whole lot of critiques, and I would really like that, which is why I also take I still take figure drawing classes, because I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. Am I drawing this right, or like am I animating this right? Like the critique I got for the 3-hit combo, they came up with some really good critiques I didn't really consider.
That's cool. That's the best thing about critiques, is that like, you can't have all the answers, right? Like you're never going to animate something that's perfect. And so I find that when someone fresh with a fresh set of eyes that has experience looks at it, they can be like, they don't even have to have experience. I've had critiques from like complete amateurs, like just my friends, that just randomly be like, I feel like it's like just, I don't know, it feels like too slow. And then, and it like, it makes me look at it with like, oh my God, you're totally right. It is too slow. It's like, sometimes you just get so into your shot that you, you get the animator goggles, right? That's what we often call them. And it's like, you're in there for too long. It's why we always say, take a step away from your work. Like literally, if you can, it's always best, especially on a show, to have more than one shot going on at any given time, because you could give one a rest and then maybe move it on another one so that you can kind of clear your mind a little bit. So when you come back to that one, it's sort of like, you know, how artists will flip their drawing, or like they'll mirror it horizontally so that suddenly you're like, oh my God, that's terrible. The perspective's all broken. How do I not see? It's just like the same reason why you gloss over the same spelling mistake when you're proofreading your own essay. This is, of course, back in the day before, spelling correction was a thing. I'm so old. It's ridiculous. But yeah. So the point is that is a way of proofreading or proof seeing your own work. So just getting that outside perspective helps you become a bit more.
I mean,
aware,
it definitely. I mean, when you focus on something, you definitely get that tunnel vision, and that's why it's always good to ask and put yourself, and not be afraid to put yourself out and be like, hey, can someone else look at this? Is there anything I could improve on, or is it okay? Or
please blow my mind with something that I did not see before, because it's actually not that difficult really often. Like you can have a really perfectly executed animation. I find that when you're at a certain point with animation, you can nail it, but the critiques that are really even more important are like the choices that you made. It's like, okay, but can we talk about how that might be funnier, or can we can we have thought of a different way of having the character enter the shot that would feel more dramatic or heavier? Like there are always ways like that you can always sort of tweak it, but sometimes they're foundational level. Like it would require almost a reanimate, because it's like the concept would be different. But those are the things that often someone like you would like in your previous role on the show would have, that's why you do character posing, is because then you can take a look at the show in that form. And then you have, people like directors, and not just one set of eyes, but many set of eyes can look at it and go, is that the best direction for them to come in? Because I feel like the edit feels off, and like that would feel weird. And you could catch these problems early rather than polishing this animation and then realizing, oh no.
And that's the beauty of things like using Toon Boom or some of these other animation programs. Is we back in the day, because when I first started, we were still on paper and pencil, and if we wanted to do a pencil test, we got to go over to the little camera station and I won't put the paper down and take a picture. But now it's just it's instant pencil test, so I can I can constantly view.
It's already there in the computer. You don't have to scan it in any way.
No. So nowadays when we turn things in, we make little movies, get the director and he'll be like, this would work better if this part was faster. Oh, this part was slower. Like, oh, this is not reading. Maybe we did it this other way.
Yeah, it's similar in video games. It's like trying to get the animation in the game before it's polished, so that you can at least feel it, and like so that on the stick when you're playing the game. You are able to not just judge its aesthetic quality, but also its mechanical quality. Like, is it fast enough? Is it high enough? Does it do all the things it needs to do for the game to work? Because there's another dimension, right? So it's similar. Like it's all these mediums. The one trend is get it into the be able to provide context. Get some early version of it in so that you can see the big picture. Early, so that you don't end up spending too much time on something that you may have to start over again.
And even this Naruto entry I did, I've got like a whole folder full of just all the different versions that I've gone, like from the very beginning. Every day that I would work on it, I would make a little movie, and then I would sleep and then look at it the next day and just see if anything is if any problems are popping out, or are the things moving that I want correctly? Are things reading correctly? Is the camera move working okay? So it definitely goes through a long process.
For sure. And then, like, luckily there's a lot of people like that you're going to view this many times before like the final, like in different stages of production, so that you always get another chance to check it. Okay, now does it still work? Now that we see the lighting, maybe not. Well, I mean, like, I guess you're not doing a lighting pass in The Simpsons, but if it was a 3D show, that would be a thing that happens a little later. And sometimes poses that might look good from the 2D angle that you're looking at it from, when you cast a light and then the shadow is on the wall and it's like a big distraction. It's like, oh wow, I didn't even notice. All kinds of weird things happen later. Well, you know what, Dane, it is 11:51 for me, which means it is 3 hours earlier. So what is that
Almost
for you? I guess that's like
8:50 for me.
Yes. So thank
I'm in the
you.
past.
I would like to cut you loose. It has been an absolute pleasure just hanging out with you
No,
and
this is
just
great.
talking about you and the kind of, your journey on a show that's been around for so long and that all of us, I'm sure, have seen. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't know what The Simpsons is. So thank you. It's been a real pleasure.
No,
It's been
thank you.
awesome to meet you. It's also been fun to be able to meet these mysterious, like one of the many mysterious characters behind, the submission winners from the Anim Challenge.
Yeah, I think
we want to do this more often.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea because when people turn in their submissions, you see the work, of course, the work all looks great, but you don't really know who are these people. And so it's interesting that you guys want to focus on
why not, right?
Who are these people? Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I think we just got lucky with you because it's like you have this really interesting backstory that like was really, really fun to be able to kind of dig into. And I'm sure everyone's going to have like, who knows the different backstories we're going to actually encounter when we do these little deep dives.
Totally.
Everyone's got a story, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I wanted to join these communities, so that people can like share stories and share experiences and share ideas. Yeah,
that's the whole point. That's the whole thing about Agora.Community. All we really wanted to do is start connecting the people that live literally everywhere across the world that all have one similar thing in common. That is, we are all these closet performers that like to perform through these make-believe characters. That's something that we all love to do. And some of us like to do it in video games. Some of us like to do it in film. Some of us like to do it in commercials and TV. And like literally, you name it.
Sure.
There are so many different forms that animation is shows itself in, and but yet we all have that one thing in common. We're just these performers, and we do it through a pencil or we do it through a mouse and a keyboard, but we do it somehow, right?
And
so some of us do it with clay.
Very important too is that animation is a team effort, very much a team effort.
It certainly is.
So that's why I would tell people not to be. I understand being shy, like not, if they're unsure about sharing their work online or wherever. But you just it's good to just put yourself out there when you can, because animation is as a group thing, and it's always good to bounce ideas off people and just get feedback. Yeah, so just as much as you can, don't be afraid to just put yourself out there.
You touched on something really good. I'm trying to let you go, but I can't let this one slide because it's so good. He just touched on something that I think is really important. Like this coming back to the idea of putting yourself out there. I didn't think of it in this terms, but it's also good practice for the job. If you find yourself someone who's nervous, who doesn't really feel like they can put themselves out there, you have to know that is part of the job. And you need to develop a thick skin and there's a technique, there's a science and an art to getting feedback. I find, because you need to frame your brain in a way that you understand that that's part of the job. A, B, you're going to become better because of it, because you will be, you're going to get critique. It may not even be a good critique. It may be the advice you get is bad, but if it's your boss giving it to you, then you have to find a way of making it work anyways. But if it's not your boss, then you maybe just the mental process of at least considering what was said and then having another look at your work and being like, does that make sense? Like truly tuning your brain to listen, that actual advice, that advice, it might not even be specifically good, but it may lead to a better idea because it forces you to relook at with fresh eyes the work that you've been doing. And I think that in itself is that's what everyone should dream of being able to do when they're working on something, because you all want the work to be as good as it can be, because you want to grow as an artist and you want to be able to deliver the goods to your employer at the end of the day, right? So
and communication also,
it's a skill.
Communication also is very important in this industry. I mean, it's probably one of the single most important things for an entire production is communication. And I mean, I'll admit I'm an introvert. I have tendency to be shy sometimes, but I mean, I've been working with the people on the Simpsons. I've been working with them for years, and it's like a family. But of course, when I first started, of course, I was like super nervous to talk to people, because I was so young too at the time, and you just have to, like they say, you just have to jump in the pool and just do it.
That's right. That's it. And like communicating, I've seen really great animators not make it in the industry, not because they're not great animators, but because they could not communicate. Not, and what I mean by that is that they they struggled with how to collaborate. They struggled with how to take direction. They struggled with how to listen to direction and understand direction. They struggled with knowing when to ask a question when they don't know, instead of just being too shy and going off and doing what they think is right. These things are like career-ending things. And they're easy to fix. You just have to try to put yourself out there.
That's definitely something I tell a lot of people is you have to ask questions. You cannot be afraid, because I know people say like, oh, I'm afraid like if I ask like this person might get annoyed, or they might get like, no, don't worry about that. You have to do it. Because I mean, 99% of us working types, we liked being asked questions. I mean, I get questions all the time in my email. Unfortunately, I don't get to all of them, not because like I'm annoyed, but I just just don't have the time.
There's only so much time in the day. Yeah, exactly.
Eventually I'll get to them. But you cannot be afraid to ask questions, especially when you start working. Because even now, I mean, that's something we tell our artists is like, don't be afraid to ask. If you're unsure, just ask. Because it's much more difficult if you turn something in and it's not correct, when all you had to do was just ask, is this the way you want it? And if we said, oh no, we want it like this, okay, boom, done. Rather than you're not kind of sure, like, oh, I don't know what they're asking for, I guess I'll do it like this, and then you turn it in, and then your supervisor, whatever, is like, well, why didn't you ask me what I wanted? This is because it's not what I was looking for. So you just can't be shy, and you just cannot be afraid to ask. There's always,
it's not worth it.
No, it's way better to always ask before, and not worry about. No one's going to get because that's such a common thing. People are not going to get annoyed when you ask them questions, especially in animation. They like to help, and they like to share.
I think it's the way the questions are framed too, right? I think that there's an art in even that. It's like, when if you go to a supervisor and it's like you're clearly just like, I honestly just need your help. Like, like in a very honest way, and just be you don't not be submissive, but just be honest. And it's I think that like there's, and I'm not saying you're not going to, some people have had bad supervisors. I've had bad supervisors, and that does happen, right? And some people may be annoyed. Maybe it's because they're just bitter and they've been in the industry for too long. That could happen too. But here's the thing, even if you're in a scenario like that, it's better to ask the question and get a good answer, because you don't want to just be like, okay, well, I don't want to be a bother and go off in my corner and then totally spend a week on something that's wrong.
Exactly.
Because you know what? Now you've just annoyed not just your supervisor, you've also annoyed your producer. You've also annoyed maybe some other team members. They're going to have to pick up the slack because you just wasted a week. It's not good. You don't you need to just suck it up and maybe deal with asking the question that makes you feel like a bit of a goof for like those 2 minutes of a discomfort is way better than the potentially weeks or months worth or worse of discomfort for just making a really big mistake.
I mean, I
ask
still
the question. I totally agree.
And I still ask my director for help for things like the model or storytelling. You have to ask.
They're your director for a reason, right? It's like they have more experience or more visibility on things that you might not have. So that's what they're there for at the end of the day. Yeah. Okay. Well, yet again, thank you, Dane, for being here. Thanks for showing up. It's been a real pleasure. Enjoy, please, the rest of your evening and your week. I'd love to follow up at some point down the road to see how you're doing. And I would really love it if you could maybe email me a link to that Cirque du Soleil. Because I'd love to send that out to the community so that they can, because I'm personally interested. I mean, Cirque du Soleil is from here in Quebec. So I'm surprised I don't know about it. I guess I've been living under a rock. So So thanks again.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you very much.
Super inspired to meet you. There was just so much to learn from you, and keep up the good work on that freaking show, my friend.
I'll definitely try.
Yeah, and also I want to know where you bought your shirt, but you can tell me that. but don't tell Josh, because he'll be mad.
Don't tell Josh. Okay.
Later, dude. No, don't tell Josh.
Great.
Have a good one, man. Bye. So there he is, Dane Romley in the flesh, with his amazing shirt. That was great. Hopefully you all enjoyed that little chat. It was a real, I mean, I can't even take credit for this idea. It came out of, I don't know, some genius's mind in the social, I think, the Agora.Community social team to do this. And it was a great idea. Like, I mean, why, like, it was just so cool. Like that, you know, like it that led to me reaching out to Dane, and then I was blown away that he'd been animating on The Simpsons for so long, and I just found I didn't even know it. He probably told me like last time we talked, but it probably went in one ear out the other because I'm such a chatterbox. But the fact that he's actually directing shows now is just mind blowing. That he went from wanting to be like an animator, jumping into obviously this big machine that was the Simpsons show, doing character layout, and then even skipping a lot of the things that a lot of people would typically do and jump, be an animator, for instance, and then maybe a supervising animator. It's like, no, he just did this whole other jump more into the story direction, and now he's associate or assistant directing shows, which is that's just dope. That is so cool to be part of something so iconic and so like this Simpsons is pulp culture, which is mind-blowing when you think it's very meta. Simpsons is often a product of pop culture, and putting all those things together and making something really interesting and iconic, inside within the bigger picture, the gestalt of pop culture, but is so big in itself that it becomes pulp culture in itself. It's so meta, and it's to think that he's a part of that and gets to contribute towards something that affects so many people's lives in ways that they don't even aware, like jokes that just come out, and they're just like typical social memes that come from a show like The Simpsons. It's just so cool that to think that to be a part of that is just fun. So blessed to get to meet him, blessed to get to chat with him, and hopefully you're all feeling as inspired as I am. And hopefully it has rekindled at least a little percent of that person inside of you that, that started down this road for a reason, which is because we're storytellers, right? All of us are. So looking forward to meeting more Danes out there, because there are other people that are winning these competitions and they all have a story to tell. So I think that it'll be really fun to do this on a regular basis. So stay tuned for future get to know, or what do we call this? I think we called it meet an Anim Challenge champion. I don't know. It was, I just had to come up with a name, and that's what it was. So maybe we'll brand it differently now that it's such a hot thing that is exciting, and then we'll do more of these down the road. So enjoy your weekends, chat. It's awesome to have you here as usual. We do have more things in store for you. Oh, hey, by the way, before I leave, and Dane, I see you in backstage. You're still backstage. You're totally free to go. You can hit the leave button. A lot of our guests, and you're also free to stick around too, by the way. I don't want to put you on the spot. It's just that I forget to tell people that when they show up, and then I cast them back in the backstage so that they can go live their lives, as opposed to being stuck on the show for the rest of their lives. Then they're like, oh my God, I don't want to break the stream if leaving is going to break it. So yeah. So anyways, do what you will, Dane. We love you either way. You can bail or you can stay. I want to know, did anybody, Crabnuts, you're here. I didn't even notice. Oh man, I wish you were here when Dane was still on. I wanted you guys, I wanted him to meet the one and only Crabnuts. It's okay. He's probably already heard legend of you anyways. So, did I, hold on a second. Hold on. I just typed you in our private chat. If you want to communicate with me, you can totally do it there. I.e., if you're like, hi. So weird. It's like I'm passing notes in class now. You don't see Dane. Oh, wait. Okay. Well, here we go. Dane's back.
Yeah.
He was gone, but here he is. Crabnuts meet Dane.
Hello.
Dane meet Crabnuts.
Hello, Mr. Nuts. Or is it Mr. Crab?
Mr. Nuts. I don't know. It could be either one. We could go either way. I don't know. I've never asked him. Do you have a formal title, Crabnuts, that you prefer? Do you prefer Mr. Nuts or Mr. Crab, or is it Mr. Crabnuts, or is it Mr. the Crabnuts? I mean, like, which one is it? He's all silent. I think he made him shy. He totally did. He's like, I didn't think you'd come back. There it is. It's beautiful. We've connected these two worlds. Crabnuts is the one I was telling you about. Crabnuts being probably one of our, I don't know, who knows, maybe one of the more younger in the audience.
Oh, nice.
But he's just like probably like you. I feel like he's on this road that he wants to be an animator, sure. And he's plotting that path, mm-hmm. and he's sticking around here because he's soaking it all up, sure. All the good vibes and all the interesting personalities, mm-hmm. and learning off of people like you. So.
And this is this is a great little forum, because like I didn't have anything like this when I was me. Again, that sounds like an old footy daddy. I didn't have this stuff. Right? I mean, I barely had internet when I was in high school.
I know.
Yeah,
it's because we're both ancient. We're dinosaurs. It's crazy. I know. Like, imagine like, the fact that we can put people like literally anywhere in the world who have recognized that Agora community exists are now this little teeny little niche group of people that are in the literally like we're trying to make it feel like they're in the same room with us, right? Like where it's like, you know, 1 minute they didn't know who Dane Romley is, and now they're like, oh my God, Dane Romley, what a cool guy, amazing shirts, and he's like assistant director of Simpsons. Like 1 minute I didn't know who he was, and now I do, and it's crazy. And I shared space, and like I just like it, you know, like it feels really cool to be able to put people together like that.
Yeah. No, this is a great forum for this kind of stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Okay, well now that you guys have met, I will let you go to have your weekend, my friend. So thanks for coming back in, and you could leave at any time you want. You just have to hit the leave button. But by the way, now that you've come back for round 2, now there's a really good chance that I'm going to find a way of dragging you back into another conversation at some point.
I'm fine to keep going if you want it, but I know it's like midnight for you.
No, yeah, I got to wrap up the stream anyways. But trust me, I will try. Now that I see that you're willing, you should never reveal this.
Okay.
As soon as the guest reveals, that's it. Because now I'll just hound you all the time. Come on, Dane, come hang out again. There'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I'm always down to talk animation. I mean, that's awesome. So, no, anytime.
Okay, cool, awesome. All right, we'll see you around. I'll bring you back and I'll make a big announcement so you and Crabnuts can high five and stuff. Later, dude. So I wanted to know, bye again, Dane. I wanted to know if anybody got a chance to catch the Amaru live stream today, which is another new thing that we did today. Today was a day of 2 firsts. We did a first we did a first time meet one of the winners from Anim Challenge. I want to even go back. We should go back in the back library. I mean, because Anim Challenge has been around forever. It'd be really cool to tap some of like the really standout ones that over the years that Anim Challenge has been operating. So that'd be another thing we could probably do. But so Amaru Zayas, if you remember, I did a Meet the Expert not so long ago, and we talked about him doing a learning path. The learning path, what he ended up putting out a new film, and it really slowed things down. And then one day he was like, you know what? I'm doing a lot of thinking. Wouldn't it be cool if I can't take credit for this? This is Amaru's idea. Wouldn't it be cool instead of doing it like pre-recorded, like what we were planning on doing for the learning path? What if we did it live? And I'm like, man, that's an awesome idea. What if we did it live and we can record it and we put the episodes in the library so people can still watch it like after it was recorded? But what if they show up live and just watch it kind of as I stream it? So that's something he's going to be doing every Saturday, 9 a.m. PST, which is a little early for some of you on a Saturday, or it is 12 p.m. like lunchtime for people that are in my neck of the woods, the Eastern Standard crowd. And then God, I don't know, what is that for you? What is that for you, Scott? I don't know if it's like next week or something. Scott lives in Scott's in New Zealand. Wait, I think it is New Zealand, right? Oh my God, I always get nervous. I always forget. I don't know what my problem is. I'm like one of those goofs that can't. I'm willing to bet it's New Zealand because I think we talked about this recently. But if I'm wrong, I'm going to feel like it. Damn it! At least the good news here is I didn't offend Scott, because Australians don't mind it when you think that if you think that they're from New Zealand. If you tell a Kiwi, a New Zealander, that they're Australian, that busts their brains. It's like calling a Canadian American. They're just like, no, I'm not American. I'm Canadian. There's like a certain amount of like Canadian pride where an American wouldn't care. They would think that was really funny. You thought they were Canadian. And I think the only reason that would happen is if you're from maybe Vermont or like from, I don't know, there's a bunch of states that have, I even find oddly, people from California sound a lot like it's difficult, other than a couple little things. Like a person from Toronto doesn't sound a lot different from than someone from California, I find. Although there are some dead giveaways like our A's, and there's certain vowels that we say a bit differently that are like obviously dead giveaways, but for the most part, we don't have like a very big different accent. Meanwhile, a state like New York, which is really close to Canada, is like the accent can be very different. Like if you're from the Bronx, you definitely don't sound Canadian, and vice versa. Anyways, I digress, as I usually do. So Amaru did his first episode today. So it is a 1:30 a.m. for Scott. Oof. Well, you can't make everybody happy, I guess. At least they're recorded. But yeah, so a boot. Yeah, that's right. That's the boot. I don't really feel like I say a boot I feel like I say about, but even when I say about, an American often says, yeah, you just said a boot. And I'm like, I did not say a boot. I said about. There's no winning. So he did his first episode today. The plan is to continue doing them every Saturday. I will try to get them on the library like a day or two afterwards. I just have to wait for him to send it to me, and then we can sort of edit it up quickly and then put it on the platform. So if you miss one, you can always go back and watch it. It's sort of like the good old days of having live TV, but the PVRs. Remember PVRs? I mean, people still have PVRs, even though people like are dropping their cable subscriptions left, right, and center because they're like, why do I need cable when I have like Prime TV and Disney Plus and Netflix and like HBO? It's like when you have all those things, it's like that's why I wanted TV in the first place, is to get access to some of that great programming. I can now have all that without the ads. Yeah, sign me up for that. But it was like back in the day before those live, like on-demand stuff services, PVRs were crucial because it allowed you to, I mean, even before that, we had VHS machines. God, I'm so dating myself, where you could actually program to record. You'd have to have the TV set to the channel you wanted, but now PVRs, you can do TVs, it doesn't even have to be on, and you just tell it, yeah, just that program, I want you to record that one, commit it to the hard drive and make it happen, but you don't get to see it till after it's aired. So it's a little bit like that, I guess. Show up to Amaro streams. They're going to be very interesting. They are, he's covering, essentially, he's going to be going over how he made his last film or short film in Unreal. So if you're interested in cinematics inside of Unreal, you're interested in the sort of the sequencer and the lighting and like pretty much all little, bits and pieces of it. He's going to give you a pretty good overview of pretty much what he had to do in order to make that all happen. So it's a really good primer. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, it's definitely peripheral to our normal content. That's usually more animation sort of centric. But that's more, we want to do more and more of that kind of stuff. We want to kind of spread out a little bit and eventually cover more and more grounds outside of animation only. Like, I know I've been saying that for a long time and it's been a long time coming, but like if there was only more time in the day. But there's still lots of cool stuff happening, and we do plan on expanding in those different areas. So just, stay tuned for more of that. So did anyone make it to that one? Anybody? I should scroll back up. Did anybody make Amaru's live stream? Was my question. Curious. It's okay if you didn't. I just wanted to know how it went. I was able to see only the first part of it, and then I had to go. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thanks for hanging out. It's starting to feel like one of my over animated streams where it's just like I feel like I'm just in the room with you guys hanging out now and just shooting the crap. Sometimes I wish that we could just convert it from everyone in chat could just suddenly be like turn it into a Zoom call and like have like a real hangout session. I've been thinking that might be a really interesting thing to do, by the way, is having like we have those Q&A sessions. I thought maybe once a month to do something a bit more different where people could like, maybe I could live stream a Zoom call or something and have like people could show up and like I can get to, because I mean, just like it's great to meet someone like Dane, I want to meet you guys, I want to know more about the community and like get to know, who you all are, although I don't think I ever want to meet you crab nuts because I feel like I've built a version of you now in my head, like that I feel like I'll be let down if you don't actually have crab claws or something like that. So I almost want you to live in my imagination forever. I'm just kidding. I think I'll be able to deal with it if you want to come to one of those streams. I'm a viewer today, but Brent did beautifully. What? Thanks for the stream. I'm like, oh, you're nice. I don't know. It was a different one. It was like, it really was. I mean, it was funny. Earlier, someone had busted my balls for Brent's talking more than the interviewer or interviewee. And I reminded them politely. I mean, it's a fair comment. I'm a chatty person. That's why I do this. But I do admit that sometimes I can overdo it. But it's because these things were never really meant to be an interview. They really aren't. They're really supposed to be just you guys are a fly in the wall. And then when we break that wall, when we go to chat, where we try to like get the juices flowing in both directions. It's really supposed to just be a conversation. That's at least how we're trying to design them, because we think that that's more interesting than like a stiff like interview where I have a bunch of questions. And I mean, I'm not also a trained journalist, so I don't even know how to do that. You know, I know how to have a conversation, being the chatty guy that I am, but you know, I wouldn't know the first thing about doing a really good interview. So, but yeah, it may not be for everybody, but I definitely like doing it. Did you just say the word synergy? You just used a buzzword. That's 10 minutes for high sticking. You gotta go on the penalty box. Just leave off the nuts, crab nuts. Yeah, that could get awkward really quickly. And I do agree, crab nuts. You should totally 100% get some ridiculous, like, now I've built it up, right? Now you have no choice. You have to like blow the budget and get some like totally like cosplay crab nuts. Like, I don't even know what the crab nuts is. And you know, the reason is, it's funny because I think the reason, it's not just because your handle is the crab nuts, but it's because like your little avatar is like this little crab character. I think it's so little. It's like, at least that's how I see it. Maybe one day you're going to tell us all why crab nuts. Like, where did you get that handle? I got to know. We all need to know. Yeah, that's right. It was Jacob that started the whole synergy thing. Now it's just, that's the word. Oh, hey, by the way, I mean, just because apparently I don't know how to end the stream and you're still here, I don't know why. But maybe just because you like watching me make a fool out of myself. But there was a question today on Discord. And I knew this was coming. What's going on with the prizes for bingo? Speaking of bingo, we have not forgotten about you, bingo winners. Even though we've been I have done a bad job communicating with you. Truth be told, it's just been busy and it's been on the list for a while. We're planning something, and I'm guilty of often overcomplicating things because I have a vision in my head on how I want it to go, because I really think it'd be really fun to do it a certain way. A good example of that is the trophy. So the trophy we're building, which is I've been meaning to make an update on this. It is looking awesome. It is awesome. For those who have seen it, Veronica has seen it, Tabitha's seen it, Scott's seen it. The work in progress is impressive, and it's only going to get more impressive when it's done. The 3D printing is done. It took us a lot of time to figure it out because all the people involved we're all artists, and so artists love overcomplicating it, and so naturally we're trying to make it the most perfect trophy ever. So one of the things we're doing is it was being printed in solid resin. So it's being done with like stereolithography. Pardon me, can't say that word, especially while I'm choking. Which is like, 3D resin printing. It's being done in a clear resin, and it's being done solid, because if you did it with infill, and anyone who's ever done any 3D printing before knows what infill is. Usually we print something, whether that's FDM, like a typical plastic layered printing from the bottom up, or whether it's resin, where you print things upside down from a pool of resin. Regardless, you typically we print the shell, and we do like a honeycomb or some other kind of inner infill. Like, we don't do solid because it would cost too much money to print the materials to print it solid. But we did this time because we want it to be, because we did it in a transparent material. It would look, you'd see the infill, and it would look cheap if we didn't do it solid. But printing something in solid resin presents itself, as we've learned, many challenges. And so, but that was fun because Colin Graham, who I hope you will all meet at one point. I'm trying to get him on a show at some point. He's also an animation director in the video game industry. Great friend, amazingly talented director. He now works for Rockstar Games. He was the one printing it, and he's been printing like miniatures for tabletop games for years now. He's been really big into 3D printing. So he's the one that 3D printed it. I'm going to be doing a lot of the assembly. So I'm doing I'm doing like the laser cutting of a lot of the acrylic parts that are going to be a part of this. I'm doing all the final assemble and the glue up. And so I'm going to do I have to do a bunch of things once I have the parts. So they're in the mail, they're being shipped to me. So when I have the parts, I was planning on taking a lot of photography of it and kind of putting a bit of an update to the community. So you can get a little look at what's coming, but without really, I don't want to steal the thunder either. I want to leave a little bit of room for a big unveiling when it's all done. So I'll have to be careful with what I show. What has to happen really after I get it, and I take a couple measurements, is I then have to send the parts or some of the parts off to, I have a laser cutter because I'm a big nerd. I really like making things. Like I can't get enough of it. Maybe I'll do like, maybe I'll do some really sidebar maker stuff. Like we've been talking, I know I'm jumping from topic to topic right now. I apologize. I'll try to wrap them all back up, but I'm just watching chat and that's what happens. I get distracted. So this whole trophy making process, well, let me finish one thread, then I'll come back and say what I was going to say. So one of the things I need to get done is we're going to send it off to another very talented game artist who is a presentation director. He's done other things like creative direction as well, but he's a graphic designer / illustrator / just creative genius. His name is Eric Bellefeuille, and I met him while working at IDOS. He now works at, I forget where he's working right now. He was working at Epic for a while, I think, and I think he's at Unity now. Don't quote me on that, but he's working somewhere amazing, and he is going to do the painting. He's going to be doing the painting of the the figure, and it's cool because we printed it in clear. If you remember the piece that we did it on, it was an amazing piece where David had this character swinging from planets, and there's a moment where he kind of like breaks through this weird ethereal wall where he kind of goes from being 3D to being like a 2D outline character. And so we wanted to speak to that in the print. So we wanted to make part of him feel solid and the other part a little bit see-through, which is one of the reasons why we did it in clear. But he's going to then obviously have to paint on the opaque parts because it's all been printed in a clear. Anyways, it's going to be epic. So going back to one of the other fragmented tangents that I was going down, what all of this what it's done is made me and even both Eric and Colin riff on the idea of, wouldn't it be cool if we did maker content for like digital artists, like animators and modelers, and because we're all among us, who doesn't like having cool miniature sculptures on our desk? All of us do. But it can be intimidating to like enter that world. Like 3D printing seems very, wow, there's so much to learn and the printers are so expensive. Yeah, no, they're not. They used to be, but they're actually really affordable now. You can buy a printer for a few $100s, and a good one, not just some piece of garbage, like a really good one. So I thought maybe it'd be cool because I've been doing this. I have a 3D, like an FDM printer there. Back there is my Anycubic resin printer. So I have both methods of printing, and I have off camera here a big it's a Glowforge, which was that's a whole other story I'll share for another stream. But it's a big laser cutter / laser etching machine. It's pretty big. It's extremely heavy, and it's very loud when it runs. But that could be fun to kind of maybe put some content together. Would there be some interest in the community for something like that? If we were to like put a series together on like fun projects and fun, like, digital artist friendly, intro courses on, hey, you think it's too difficult to 3D print? Think again. These are the things you need to know. Here's maybe some buying guides on things to get you started, and some kind of crash course lessons on things to sort of to know if you wanted to, say, turn your 3D models into maquettes. Okay, well, I mean, Veronica and Tabitha seem to be interested, so that's all that matters. I'll do it just for you two. Anyways, so the final fragmented thought that I had that I did not finish, that I'm going to come back to, which will impress you that I didn't forget, was the bingo. So the Anim bingo. So the Anim bingo thing, as I've said from the beginning, I want the design of the shirts and the stickers to be done by the community. I think it's really important because it became such a fun community event, and those who showed up to the Anim bingos know it was fun, man. We had like Sir Wade was in there, JD was in there, we had they had the Pratt brothers in there, and we even dragged out Jacob 2 times to this thing. It became like, and it got better, right? The first one was a bit all over the place, but we were all learning as we were doing it. We just wanted to try it. And, but by the end of it, I was kind of sad that they were all done, because it was just like, there was the same regular people were showing up to play some bingo. So I felt like it just seemed the right way to go. So what I want to do, so you're kind of getting the unofficial announcement now. I'm building a video to properly announce it. I'm trying to get it done tomorrow, actually, funny enough. At least that's what I promised Scott. I don't know if he's still in chat, but the idea is to have, to challenge the community to come up with a logo. Essentially, like, what is Anim Bingo to you? Like, and like, how do you turn that into some kind of logo? And we'll put that out there and let people vote on it. And the one that the person who wins, and the person who wins doesn't even need to be they don't even have to have even played Anim Bingo. I don't care. But if you are the one who guesses or who gets the design chosen, then we'll send you a sticker and a t-shirt. That's essentially what's going to get announced. I just have to get my ass around to making that video and making the official announcement. And then, having a way of collecting the submissions. But I mean, if we can collect Animation Challenge or Anim Challenge submissions every month, I'm sure we can figure this out. And I guess that's it. That's what we're going to do. So that's it's all held up because of this. This is the reason right here. And I apologize. There's just so many things going on at the same time. I don't know where to put my energy these days because everything's exciting. I'm like a squirrel, like a attention span of a squirrel. I'm just like, oh, but this is exciting. We should do this. And oh, we should do that too. But one thing I need to learn is that I need to maybe pick a few fewer things to focus on so they can actually get done. This has become very therapeutic. This moment of the stream. We do have a lot of, it's true. Scott and I were just talking about this where he's like, it's just, there's so many things. It's so many things that I honestly wish I could freeze time and then just take this amazing team that is the Agora community team and just go into this little time bubble and like build all these little things and just like unveil them suddenly. Like I just wish we could just jump into the future. But I mean, half of the fun is getting it done too. Like I really do enjoy, it's a very stimulating thing, this whole Agora community. And hopefully the people that are in the community feel it's just as stimulating. I think the key is I really want to get the community more involved. And that was the master plan. So you'll notice that over time, a lot of the features that are going to be going on the platform are going to be in an effort to try to make that interaction a bi-directional thing. Because right now it's a lot of us providing content and, having Anim Bingo and having Q&A sessions and having some question periods at the end of these conversations are the best we've got right now. And we have Discord obviously as well, but we want to try to take that to the next level and find more and more ways of making that a bit more of an interactive experience for everybody. Okay. Yeah. The dab came from Anim. If there was anything that came from the Anim Challenge that I somehow secretly wish didn't, was the dab. I can't take it back. Now it's part of it's part of Agora community Agora community subculture is the Pratt brothers and I were doing dabs and I didn't even know how to do it. I was doing it wrong because apparently when if you're in your 40s, you don't know how to dab properly. That's probably not true. I'm probably the only one. And by the way, yes. So just I'm going to answer. I thought we could add the dab. I thought we could put our own emoticons in our Twitch channel, but apparently you need to be an affiliate. This channel could easily be an affiliate on Twitch, but that would mean we can't stream to the other platforms. However, I have to say that the lion's share of our viewership is definitely in Twitch. It's 100%. Like it is crazy. Like I think there was maybe 2 people tonight that were in the YouTube. I don't think I saw any Facebook. I'm scrolling up. I think it's probably because a lot of people, I'm wondering, are people going to our Agora community /live page to watch these streams, or are they going to the Twitch? I should do, I don't have any of my tools. That's one thing I don't like about Restream is I would normally at this point do a poll and then get people to vote on it. So I get an idea as to how many people are doing it, like viewing it from where, but I'm doing it. Restream doesn't let me do that. I think Restream is slowly but surely. Twitch, yeah, just sound off in chat. You guys, where are you right now? Are you in Twitch, or are you on Agora /live, or sorry, Agora community /live, or are you on YouTube? Are you on Facebook? Maybe some of YouTube and some Facebook people are there, but just not saying much. Okay, a couple Agora Live people, but mostly Twitch. I mean, Twitch is the perfect environment. I have to say, I need to spend a bit more time learning the ropes with what's available as a streamer in Facebook and on YouTube, because they're obviously similar to Twitch, but I've never done a specific YouTube live stream yet. I plan on doing that soon because I want to learn more about them. all I've ever done is Restream and Twitch. Those are the only two I've ever done. So maybe it's time to check out Facebook and because I can just do it right from like the Facebook page. Like there's streaming tools right there. I don't even need a broadcaster if I'm going to go with YouTube or with Facebook. So it's like Twitch in the sense that I have, I just don't need Twitch made their own broadcaster now that you can use. I think it's called Twitch Studio or something. But for the longest time, everyone was just using OBS or something else similar to it. Where YouTube, it's a platform and a broadcaster all built into one. Same for Facebook, theoretically. So I'm curious because I like the interaction stuff. I like having polls. I like having like the fun, like you can use the loyalty points that you can use to suddenly tell to so that you can cash them in, and then I can turn chat into emoji chat only for the next 5 minutes. I think that's the kind of stuff that makes the chat more fun. Just shenanigans in chat. Like it's social. Like people come to chat to hang out with people that they are used to hanging out with. And there's like friendships forming in chat, which I love to see. I just think that is the coolest. Like if this community can not only bring animators together, but if it can literally create friendships, this is like, it's worth its weight in gold as far as I'm concerned, because these are the kind of friendships that could span lifetimes. So, I mean, that's amazing if that can happen. But I think that happens even more when you can actually get chat having their own kind of thing. There's their own little private side party while there's a stream going on. So it's kind of like it's like all these things going on at the same time. There's great information coming from like good content from the stream. Hopefully there's there's Q&A, which is sort of like an interaction between the chat and the content. And then there's just like the chat only stuff that's happening sometimes, which in itself is just gold. Kind of, gives you a reason to hang out on a Saturday night, with like-minded people. Okay, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to just drone on and on forever. I can't believe you guys are hanging out for this. But there's been like 17 people in here for the last like several minutes as I keep pretending to end the stream. So recap on this evening was an awesome stream. We're going to do more of that. Dane's awesome. I'm super happy, and I'm privileged to be in a position to be able to make this happen. And like I feel like I was geeking out probably as much as some of you were. Like, I mean, like the Simpsons. I mean, it's the Simpsons. And there will be news coming soon about the trophy that we were making for David for winning the solo category of the February Ultimate Animation, the 24 Ultimate Animation Challenge. And of course, an official announcement this week on what we're going to do about the bingo. We just need a design. So there's going to be a competition that will be hopefully not very long, so we can actually make these shirts and stickers and actually get them out to all the people that we owe shirts and stickers for. So those are all the things. Yeah, no, it's not going to work. I'm actually going to end it, Tabitha. Whether you have no power over me. Here, I'm going to use this just to show you. This is going to be. No, wait, that's the wrong one. For those of you in chat that love the horn, this is my favorite one. I can't stop playing it. I'll tone it down a little bit because it's actually at a good level, I think. I suddenly feel like I'm in like why am I drawing a blank? Is he gonna do another one? Oh, I think I trimmed it, so it's only the one. Christopher Nolan. I feel like I'm in a Christopher Nolan movie whenever I fire that off. It's just so good. Okay, so see you around. Stay animated. You're all awesome, and I'll see you on the next stream. Talk to you soon. Cheers. Oh wait, I should probably cue this up while I'm talking. Otherwise, it's always a weird, awkward disappearing act. Okay, I'm doing it for real. Bye.
Hey.